Welcome back, everyone, to another great film club. And we've got our first animation, and it's Akira. We've gone full manga. So we had to bring back our special guest from last time's Battle Royale. Haminara is back for going to have a go at Jay a lot, apparently. We've just had to stop them nearly getting into a row off screen. So we're going to have that. But before we get around the panel, Sandy, how you been?
I've been well. Thank you so much. This is my first real anime, so looking forward to the conversation.
Jay, now, how you been after your first Akira experience?
Yeah, so this isn't necessarily my first anime experience, but it was my first time watching this one. I don't know. It was a weird experience, and not just because the movie itself was a bit weird, but like, I didn't mind the watching experience, but I also don't know what the hell I watched. So this is going to be an interesting one.
Going to be interesting, yeah. And the man with the vast experience, how are you being, sir?
Oh, I'm doing good. I mean, hey, I got an excuse to watch fucking Akira again for like the 15th time. Like, I'm not complaining. Now, I always take excuses. I don't need to rewatch good movies. I don't care.
It is. So this was, of course, my pick. Now, the will did its job, and I mean that in honesty, because this is a good starting point for anime. If you're not really into manga anime, I think this is a good starting point, because it's not that I think it is for Westerners. I was going to say for Westerners, because this is one of the first ones that was, I suppose, when it got big, it was it introduced the Western world to anime, I suppose, in a big way, because when in the 90s, I did show this earlier, is when they started, my dad started coming back with these from the comic book shop or the local shop, and inside you got, of course, clips of what Akira is, and it was so bizarre to see, of course, 2000 AD Marvel and DC is kind of everything's in black and white. Mm-hmm. And you didn't get that. You got a couple of first pages of color.
Yep.
That is it. And then the rest is, and Sandy, you can agree to it, is
it's hard to read. Yeah,
and
I
really
enjoyed
a lot of things.
I enjoyed the first several pages that were in color, and then my eyeballs went. Like, it really, I had to pull out the old lady magnifying glass a little bit, but amazing artwork.
Can we talk about that Stasis went out of his way to get the Korean picture for the Japanese movie?
Oh, was it? Oh, there you go. I just got one that looked cool. I know, that's my thing.
It's like, can we talk about that? You went out of your way to get the Korean poster?
I couldn't find one that literally was for the book. There you go. Cool. Yeah, I couldn't find one that wasn't the American version with the words around the capsule.
You could have just texted me on this call. I would have sent it to you.
Anyway, there you go.
You have a job.
I know. Sorry, I can't read either languages. I'll take.
You just look at it. It's like, close enough.
Yeah, now close. Oh, yeah, but you just go for the bike and the biker jacket, really, in the capsule. But yeah,
this would have known the difference. So fair enough.
There you go. Bad me. But yeah, this is kind of things, because before, like, especially being like, this is what this was. I found a few, of course. Like, this is early 90s, and in the 94 edition, we're still only on chapter 17. And how many chapters was there again? If somebody's got it. A lot. Yeah, so they ran for a few years.
Wait, so which version do you have? I have 1984.
84. Yeah, so 1984. So you got the reprint of that. Yeah, this is
Reprint of first version is what it says.
So what happened in the UK? Because of the things, it all went into the manga comics, and then then they did a reeditions to the original print that was the Japanese one, and then put the English titles on it. But otherwise, you didn't get really much in the. It was you had to get. I suppose you would call it bootleg. I suppose you want to call it, like kind of comics that were somebody else reproduction of that shouldn't be there really of that kind of things. You got a lot of that from Japanese and French comics, but that's it. Like even that you had like the British comics, Battle Action, 2000 AD that were. They would do 50% color, I suppose, like that. You would have the ones, but then you had Marvel and DC that were always color. You did not really get. I can't think off the top of my head, and I actually a full run of any comic book character, especially Marvel and DC, that was black and white.
Black and white.
Didn't get it.
This, by
this
the way,
one was tight black and white. If they did it in the standard American comic size, you would not be able to read that thing. It would be so difficult to read.
They did that in the original font, and I have it here. And yes, I can read it.
Yeah. So
joke on you.
also,
the original
that book has got to be things. But
yeah. And by the way, the original
Manganese. See, I don't know what it is now with the repoints, but this is magazine size, I suppose you want to call it.
Yep.
Like, and then
mine is smaller than magazine. It's not A5. It's between It's probably B5. It's between A5 and magazine, and it's by Kodansha Comics.
Yep.
Okay, is that right? Okay, good. I got a good one. Okay.
Yeah. So, and the original chapter count, by the way, Stasis, is 72. 72 chapters over 6 volumes.
Yeah, and I think what they did, I think manga comics were quarterly as well. I don't think they were monthly. I think they were quarterly. Maybe I'm wrong. I can't remember.
The chapters, so the individual chapters, the like 18 to 19 page chapters were weekly.
Weekly, yeah, that's in Japan, though, isn't it?
Yes.
That's what I'm saying about the manga comic, the manga magazine.
Oh, yeah.
When it came out in the UK, it's it's like different. But yeah, when I got it, I was and I remember, like you say, going back to why it's on. I put it on the wheel. It's just I remember like there was a thing with everybody said do not get the dub because the West they had to dub it, but the dubbing was bad. It's completely things, and I didn't realize they redubbed it in 2000 because the original dubbed is completely wrong. It's just literally it's near enough garbage. Yeah, so they redid it. Yeah,
so they redubbed it.
Which one did you watch?
Times.
Jay, I did 4K remaster version.
Okay. So I watched I don't know, I honestly the one that was on Crunchyroll. It was in Japanese with subtitles. So I think I watched the right one.
Yep.
Yeah, my question with that actually, Hannah, and you're probably the perfect person to ask. Because I know that everybody, who's into anime hates the dubbings because it's not usually kind of a 1-for-1 or I've heard, especially more lately, that people who are dubbing it are changing it as it comes over here.
Yep.
Now, my question is, how different is the dubbing from the subtitles? Like, do they do a similar thing with the subtitles? Do they change anything, or does that stay more authentic to the original dialogue?
So that depends on who does the subtitles, because subtitles will sometimes have like the sentence itself is correct, but depending on who said it, you might have like minute differences in a tonal shift of what you're reading and how you imagine it being said in your head. But specifically back in the 80s, dubbing was absolute fucking dog water. Like dubbing was horrible. Like they had the original dub, then they redid the original dub in 96, then they redid that one again in 2000. They had the Australian dub, and they had to redo that one as well in 2002 because that one was shit.
Interesting.
Imagine have that in Australian accent. This would be funny. Do they actually have an Australian accent?
The Australian dub, just for the last 10 minutes, is the most cringe and the most hilarious shit you will ever watch if you've seen the movie.
Well, anything in Australian is like that,
great.
Right?
Specifically, like
answer the question.
Yeah, but picture this in your head, because obviously all of us have seen it. Go to the last 10 minutes take all of the screaming and everything, and then they're Aussies.
Oh, it's
That
great,
shit
but
is
yeah.
hilarious.
But
So and then but then again, when it comes to the subtitles, like yes, certain subtitles will have errors, but specifically on older movies, because back then the people that did subtitles at least had some backbone and took some pride in their work. They are like 97, 98% accurate.
Fair enough. I was always
Very,
curious
very
about that.
minute changes, like heavy swearing would always be kind of changed. Like it'd still be swearing, but not as intense. But that's 80s censorship.
Right, fair enough.
It's like blood and violence, no problem. But that guy called him a motherfucker. We can have it.
But I think in like that, I think you lose it, especially you get it when like Netflix has got a big thing about dubbing, and they like Korean, Japanese, like live action at the moment, and I think you just lose the feel. It feels better when you're watching it. You know, it's supposed to be, you know, and like East Asian, I suppose you like that. It's supposed to feel, you know, that voice comes across, I think, better. That's why I
definitely noticed that with live action. Like, I don't like to do dub for live action stuff. You know, most recently watching Squid Game, for example. I don't like to do dub for that because one, the mouth not matching the words always drives me nuts. That inability to sync it because it's two different languages always drives me nuts visually.
Yep.
But you do lose a lot of the effect of the actors acting when you switch it over to dub. Anime, 100%. I watched Dragon Ball Z back in the day. One of the only anime things I've watched. I watched it dub. One, I was a kid, so I didn't really care. Two, I always felt like with something animated, you don't lose as much because you're not seeing the physical facial features, the emoting, all that kind of thing. Although as I've gotten older, I've learned that, you know, a lot of that dubbing just gets messed up in translation, either purposely or maybe not purposely.
Yep.
Sorry, it wasn't Dragon Ball dubbed by an American company, though.
No.
Wasn't it?
I
thought it was. I thought it was.
The original Dragon Ball manga was penciled by Akira Toriyama, who has sadly already since passed away.
Yes, just recently.
And the original animation was done by Toei Animation in Japan.
Okay, I always thought it was an American like joint venture kind of thing. But
yeah, fuck no. America had fucking nothing to do with it. Fuck out of here.
Tell us how you really feel about it, honey.
Oh, Hanayama doesn't hold back.
Don't get involved. Don't get involved.
America taking credit for Dragon Ball. Like, what the fuck?
That was me. I'm English. I got it wrong.
That was a Brit. That was a Brit
throwing America under the bus, Hannah. Come on.
I'm throwing everybody under the bus. I don't get paid to be nice.
But yeah, so back to the movie, why it was on the list. It's just when I first saw it, literally. Now, I'm going to have to put a sentiment of what Jay had a bit of thinking. I was like, what? Wow. And what the hell was that? But I was fascinated because I already seen, I've said I've already got the black and white comic as well to back it up. But when somebody came back, you know, VHS tape, I've got Akira. I've got the actual subbed, you know, it's not dubbed. And then we watched it. It was just like, you just watch that and you're like, what is going on? And then, of course, there is a part of it. And it's like, what the hell was going on? I say I think we've had a little of Discord. Is there are weirder ones out there? There are like there are so much like manga like that you will just come away from. You go what? I don't get it.
Yes.
There are some unbelievable, strange, like they're to the absurd of like that. What were you doing at the time you were writing that, or you were doing that? But then you have like other classics, like. There's moments in this is like you get to experience a little snippet, and I just like because I've seen some of the weird ones. I'm like, it's not that weird. Akira is not that weird.
Oh no, I could show you so much more.
It doesn't. I didn't. So for me, I don't think it got weird till like close to the end, which we'll get to when.
Yep.
Is it Tatsu? I'm not going to say. I'm going to have Hana say his name once or twice. Tat something. When he kind of starts to change, that's when it's like, all right, this is getting super weird. But even just throughout it, it wasn't so much that it was like that level weird. It was more just like, I think for me, I'm not quite used to the structure of storytelling when it comes to manga or anime. So I think kind of making sense of everything going on was the weird part to me. until you get to the stuff that they're like, oh no, this is just flat out weird, and I got to figure out what the hell's going on and what substances the people who made this might have been on when they made it, because it is out there.
Yeah. So we get into the movie, and of course, it actually sets it in Tokyo, and then it changes to Neo Tokyo. I think Neo Tokyo in.
Yep.
So the 16th of the 7th, 1988. And what happens? And I think Sandy might bring this up, because what happens is now we have an atomic explosion from out of nowhere, and then it just 31 years after. And it sets it up. It just sets up a nice little, really into the world that we're getting. 2019. Like, yeah, it makes you laugh a little bit. You're like, wow.
So before you run on, quick question, because here's the thing. It's never explained, but I know what it is. Do you want to know what the giant explosion at the start of the movie is?
I assumed by the end it had something to do with Akira and what we see at the end, but I wasn't totally sure.
This explosion is the arrival of Akira on Earth.
So
this is when Akira arrives.
So he wasn't born on Earth; he arrives on Earth.
Yeah, but basically, like Akira is the world's first Esper. He's the first one with these weird superpowers, and they threatened him. And in threatening him, he's like, okay, I have no longer need for a mortal physical body. You can shoot me as much as you want, but this is the consequences to your actions. And he literally blew them the fuck up.
So is that explained in more manga, or is that something? Because that was missed by me.
It's missed in the movie. That is very deep.
Here's the thing. Because if you have the entire manga collection, like the one that I have, this includes Chapter 0, and Chapter 0 is the arrival of Akira. And Chapter 0, for one weird reason, was not published in the West.
Interesting.
If the best way to explain Akira, he becomes an entity.
Yes,
that is the best way to explain it. But even though you get we're not spoilers, bit things, and he turn away now, is the jars. That's not really. It's
remnants of his Esper powers.
So that's the best way to explain what Akira is, because I think a lot of people, when they go to watch Akira, believes Akira is going to be one of them. Like, different to the manga is Akira is the main character, but he's not.
I kind of assumed he was like,
he isn't.
He is. Yeah, he's the background, the reason why this is happening. But I'm guessing you're going to say like what other Kendall,
Tetsuo, Kaneda.
And K.
Tatsuo, that's how you say it. Tatsuo.
Yeah, and then K and later Ko.
Yeah. Like they're like I suppose the pivotal junction to this, but it does get a bit. Yeah, I can understand where it could get a little bit messy.
And the best way for anybody to understand what Akira is, like the character of Akira, he's basically a force ghost.
See, that's kind of what I was picturing, is that he's some kind of insane amount of energy that could at some point was able to form himself into a human type of form, was like my general understanding of what he was by the end of it.
Yeah, originally, like the child that became the figure of Akira is a human-born child, but with the genome that allows the growth of the Esper powers. So he was the world's first psychic, if you want. And he grew so powerful, but in control of his power, that even after the military shot him and tried to fight him, even poison him, he just discarded his mortal body and willingly basically became a force ghost out of Star Wars, because he no longer has need for his body, because his Esper powers grew to a point where he can permanently contain an incorporeal body and just be a fucking ghost.
So I feel like some of that would have been helpful to kind of understand what it was a little bit more, but then I guess they do kind of pull a bit of like a mystery thing as the story goes on of what actually is Akira. So I get why they didn't, but that certainly would have helped.
Yeah, and even if you buy the manga in America, if you don't have the original collector's edition of the manga that includes Chapter 0, You don't know this information because Chapter 0 was only published in Asia, and even the one that I have is in Japanese. It's not translated in English.
So was
Yeah,
Chapter
so
0? Sorry, go ahead, Sandy.
I was just gonna say, here's what the first, there's a prelude to the version that I have, which is, again, it's a reprint. It's I have volume 1, which is 380 whatever pages, and the prelude is at 2:17 p.m. on December 6, 1992. A new type of bomb exploded over the metropolitan area of Japan. So it goes further into the future and then comes back and says, and goes back more than 31 years to the beginning.
Yeah, to 1988.
To 1988. And then it goes back forward. And now in 2019, this is Neo Tokyo. So it goes 1992 to 1998 to 2019. So just
And so
that's how I started my confusion.
Yeah, and so the one that I have, because I just picked up volume 1, is volume 1 starts with the explosion in 1988. There is no 1992 nonsense, and then it cuts to 2019 in Neo Tokyo. Mm-hmm. So the manga version that I have of volume 1 of chapter 1 basically follows the movie continuity, because the prelude is added pages and added scenes for the English reprint that is not officially written. They tried to make more sense out of it because they didn't get chapter 0.
And now we know why people get very confused about manga.
Right? So, and one last thing before we move on. Was chapter 0 like written actually before everything else that came after it, or was that kind of something that was written, as a prequel type thing after, chapters 1 through whatever?
Okay, so chapter 0, to explain what a 0 chapter is mostly when you go into, if you become a manga author in Japan, you write a preview chapter of what you think your story is about, send it to a publishing company. They then read it, and if they are interested, they will pick you up and decide you either write weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so chapter 0 was the introductory chapter that got sent to the publishers, on which upon they decided, no, this is interesting, we definitely want to publish this, and yes, you're getting a serialized deal. So that's basically the official prelude.
Gotcha. Okay. Interesting.
I think in America you call it a one shot, when you write one self-contained small story to get attention of publishing companies.
One sheet, I think, something like that.
Yeah, or one sheet. Yes,
I think. Yep.
So chapter 0 is basically the one sheet of this is what my idea is, and then the entire story was already pre-written because the author of Akira had already done the entire writing work for all of the story. He just needed to pencil it and to have it drawn by his artist.
Interesting.
And that is chapter 0. And because it's the one sheet, they mostly never get published. Nowadays, they get published, thankfully, because otherwise, in many series, you would sit there and be shit out of luck and be like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, I guess doesn't make sense.
Yeah, but basically, since 96, 97, the one sheets get published in English as well.
Well, that was the world's slowest super sticker. That's the super sticker that says spoiler alert. And I sent it about 5-10 minutes ago when Hana said spoilers. And I we're way beyond spoiler alert now.
Even if you spoil it, I don't know if it makes sense. So
we'll get there. We'll get there. So but let's go. So we're going back. We're now into kind of the movie quickly goes into Neo Tokyo, and it's a bit where the area we're in at the moment is a bit let's say a bit down and out. It's a bit worse for wear, and then we get to go into the bar where Kaneda is Kaneda. That's Kaneda, isn't it? Kaneda is there with his I suppose the best things they are a motorcycle gang, but they're still a bit of they're scumbags. They're like that. They're going out to just have a bit of fun. How they perceive it into the movie. They are just that's their kind of Friday night. They're going to go and fight the rival gang, whoever's on their field. That's the things. Now I'm going to start a poll, because let's see if anybody remembers the rival gang's name.
I do.
I know.
I'm guessing. So you have to hold your tongue.
Hannah, you can't vote. You don't count. Hannah, you know everything about this.
But
I'm not fair. I know fucking everything.
But in that, like, you also get like, I don't think they say his gang's name in the movie. They're called the Capsules.
Yep.
Yeah, because of the.
I didn't even catch that.
Yeah, the jacket. The jacket.
Yeah, I was wondering why he had a capsule in his jacket. I didn't really catch that.
Yeah, that's his gang's name. But I don't remember. I don't think they ever say it in the movie. I don't think they do.
If they do,
fun anecdote to that one. The name for Kaneda's gang, for the Capsule Gang, actually is a nod to Dragon Ball, where in Dragon Ball you have the Capsule Corporation, which is the richest corporation in all of the world. So small little Easter egg thrown to Toriel as well.
And I think because that's like one of my only backgrounds in anime is Dragon Ball. When I saw the capsule on his jacket, I didn't even like think twice of it, because it just felt familiar to like the world of anime to me. But I never for a second thought that the group was called the Capsules.
Yep.
Yeah. And they different to the manga, they completely wipe off the drug element into this, the actual, except for there's one scene right at the end.
Yeah, a little later.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's really big in the manga. The whole "give me the pill, where's the pills?" That's a really big part of the story.
Yeah, they kind of. Yeah, I don't know if it was like, no, you can't do this. It won't be. It'll be censored. It's like that, because then it's a big thing. But so, like for the Western audience, I mean.
Yeah, so when it comes to the movie production, because the author of the manga was actually the creative had creative control over the project. He was the creative director of the movie, and he quickly came about when they had like the absurd amount of fucking drug use and all that bullshit. And he decided for the movie, specifically, given that he wants it to be successful overseas, and he made the executive decision that it's okay to leave it out. So it was on his call.
Yeah. Made sense. I suppose, is it needed for this? They are the same story, but they're two very different tones of story. I don't think it's needed, but it does make sense when you know the gang's name, I suppose, like that. But yeah, like this, like he comes in, he's highly intoxicated. Like the barman is the kind of giving him stuff at the same time, and then of course outside we have our quick first look at a very iconic bike with
our main man Tetsuo.
How you pronounce it exactly?
It's Tetsuo.
There we go. We're gonna butcher it.
Definitely.
Damn English, yeah. But yeah, they kind of like, and when he's in that, they come out and they kind of like, even though they were him and Kaneda, that he kind of bullies him. He kind of like, because he's a little bit smaller, he's a bit like, and there's a things, and this is where we're gonna end the thing. So because he actually tells him, you know, the bike's too big for you, it's been custom made for me, but you've not taken out your one of the other rival gangs, and he does actually say the name right then. Things, but yeah. But we go on, and of course, again, I love this bit because it really shows like they do like a very weird pan of what Neo Tokyo is, but the colors on this, it just pops. Everything pops on this. It's the actual the attention to detail blew my mind. I feel like you just get every little bit. Like, look at that, like that is some detail to get that. Like that is painstaking. That's like, you know, that is all the things. And you look at it like with the manga, it's all still like this. There's a lot of it because it's panel work, but when you get to this stage, it's just it's beautifully done, and it's just like, I think this
very very faithful. The one thing though, you know, mentioning the characters, the character drawings are similar, but Hana, you tell me. I found the character drawings in the manga to look slightly younger. Like the boys had like freckles, and they were a little I don't know. I just thought they looked slightly younger than they did in the film. What do you think, or is it just my eyes?
I mean, it depends, because like the one thing that you will always have when you go from hand-drawn still shots to animated shots is obviously you don't have the same artist. So what you interpret to be, let's say, somebody in their early 20s compared to when you draw it, compared to what an animator would compare to as somebody in their early 20s, already in just the way you would draw even a still shot will look different. But the characters are always about the same age group, and obviously because of the animation technology, because production started in '85. So in '85 they started to do the first line art and everything for the movie, and so a lot of it is basically like welcome to the mid '80s, and like even details as the freckles, they tried to animate it, and then found they always looked inconsistent, and so they just removed them.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. They look a little younger, like early teens versus what probably are late teens.
Late teens, yeah.
And
by the
oh, go ahead.
Oh no, it's just for stasis. If you go 2 images back, because here we get the first that one. Here we get the first idea of, in production, every time you see these bright neon lights, what they did to achieve this effect, because this is not purely computer generated, because again, it's the mid 80s in Japan, they had an airbrush artist on set to help production, and they used fluorescent light through an airbrush pistol to get the neon colors to scan into the machine.
Interesting.
No, the animation is really quite impressive. And
the animation
the color,
and the art style.
Yeah, that whole color scheme, I agree. It was really very appealing to watch.
Yeah, because they wanted to have the brightness of what neon lights would be, to be as accurate as possible. And so they literally took colored fluorescent light through an airbrush pistol and be like, okay, let's airbrush this, take the airbrushed images, have them be photographed by basically the most expensive photo camera that you can buy at the time, and then have those directly digitally be put into the computer to then have the first ever computer-generated frames in an animated movie.
Interesting. I'd love to see a behind the scenes on some of that.
Yeah. Well, even like this broke the record.
Yeah, there is a 2 DVD set just of behind the scenes and production shit. It's 2 DVDs worth of behind the scenes. And I mean, to be fair, the movie has every right to look as good as it does still, because, and this is 1985 money, the movie cost 1.1 billion yen.
What's that in like USD?
Mind you, and this is for a quote-unquote cheap animated movie. For 1985 standard, that would be around $10 million.
No kidding! Wow.
So and
it definitely holds up, because it doesn't feel aged at all as I was watching it today.
Yeah, and now look back at like 85 animated movies that cost 10 million or less, and tell me they look even remotely this impressive.
I'm trying to think what was probably at the same time. What was 80? Probably Little Mermaid. Probably 86, 87. Probably for Disney.
It's probably in the heyday of some of those newer Disney.
But they're like it's completely different art. It is like I think the comparison is completely different. But yeah, like this broke all the records for like the most color ever in an animation. It's like that. You can understand why some of the shots you get, visually. It's just like that. It's like, and like how they fade into it. But this is why I think this anime is very good. Is because it feels continuous. It's like there's no really there's a couple of fades in, fade out, but the rest of it really draws you into the next scene really, really well, with the colors and like just how the details are is like that. You could pause it and just look around like it into the city. It's great. I said we went for that and then like that, but
it felt a lot like Blade Runner. The whole look, the feel of the city was very Blade Runner to me, which I enjoyed because I like Blade Runner.
I played Blade Runner probably got a bit more influence of this. Must be.
Yeah,
because
I was
obviously
wondering which came. I didn't look up to see the years.
Yeah.
I was curious if one influenced the other. I'm sure one did, because from
'Cause I
everything I've
know,
heard
is it
about this,
Dark-
it's super influential.
Dark City was a complete. They said they completely inspiration. This literally was
That
a
makes
full
sense.
one. It's that's a good movie. That is good. But yeah, so they're off. We got the capsule gang. They're off to find. I'm gonna announce it now because we're coming up to it. The clowns. Anybody? So anybody didn't get it? So the rival gang was the clowns. So I put the Joker in there because I don't think they again doesn't say in the thing. The Joker, the main boss, is called the Joker.
Yep.
I didn't say that.
So whilst they're like, and I think like, because the music, you got them hunting them down, and they just don't give a crap. Like they're like, there's explosions, like that. And whilst this is happening, you've got explosions of like, there's rioters, everything's going on in and they're just chasing them down, just literally having a fight. And like, even when they go into a more of an upscale area, and one of them just goes straight through the window, takes out like the guy, like, and it's like you're going, oh, we're going to be a bit brutal.
And he just pulls up and laughs too. He doesn't care. Like, they just don't care.
Yeah, and it's like that, and they're just this is our arena. It's what we do. We're going things. So this is Joker, and they just don't give a crap. It's literally, it's like, no, this is our turf. This is what we do. You're gonna stick around. You could get hurt, but we don't care. And it makes them things like, we get like a couple of the policemen call them scum and everything like that. And you kind of like, these aren't the nice guys. They're like literally juvenile delinquents, really.
It's another movie where no characters are really good people.
No, they kind of have a moral standing a little bit later, but at this time they don't really do. They're like, oh, what's going on? But so we get that because Kaneda and Joker have a kind of, what do you call it, chicken
chicken
a game of chicken down the white lines. And of course we have this iconic great shot of the bike just sliding down, and he turns. I love that shot. It's like, that's an iconic shot.
It's cool brilliant. And it's cool to see how many things have replicated it, because as soon as I looked up the trailer to this, my YouTube feed became full of Akira stuff, and one of them was like a short of just all the times this has been recreated in film, animation. I was like, wow, I didn't realize it was that, that I didn't realize that's where that, motorcycle slide came from.
Yep. It's got to be on a lot of things, like even the Matrix.
Oh, it was a lot. It was a lot.
And so the and now famously dubbed the Kaneda slide has it's the Kaneda slide, and since the movie came out in '88, this shot has been recreated, be it in other anime in Japan, be it in Korea, be it in Bollywood movies in India, be it in mainstream Hollywood, whatever. That shot has been recreated 136 times.
Wow!
Since 1988.
Oh my gosh!
Yep. Even the Simpsons did it.
Yeah, I saw that one too. That was on the everything.
This is the episode where Bart does the Canada slide.
Wolverine Origins does a little bit of a version of it. Yeah, that's
because somebody looked at everybody.
Is this slightly a version of Steve McQueen though in The Great Escape? I mean, he kind of went sideways too.
Yeah, he did some motorcycle.
He did.
You wouldn't do it like this, yeah.
Not like that, no.
But this is a perfect shot too, of just like the art style, and this really is. It is nice. It's visually, this movie's impressive, especially because it still holds up to this day. Like, you could have told me it was made yesterday, and I would have believed you, because it all holds up well.
And by the way, here's another really funny tidbit about this shot specifically. You even on the still shot, you see how the main light kind of glows.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
When they did the animation for it, because the original animation for the shot was black and white, and they added color over the first ever computer generated scenes. Part of it is colored by hand, but part of it is colored by the PC. To get the headlight to actually glow, they put a small little white LED on a fucking battery and hid it underneath the page when they photographed it.
Wow, creative.
And tracked it. That's man.
And then they tracked it, and it's like, yep. And this is the headlight.
That is crazy. So, into the movie, the police turn up. I love this because, like, the kids have got better bikes than it looks like the police. I love this because they're making out the police a bit stupid, aren't they? Like, they got these like it's kind of like you see out of and I hate to say it, like what's it called? Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift. Like all the cars are better than the actual like what the police have got.
Cars.
Yeah, police cars. So these things, and they kind of scatter out. They're like, oh, what's going on? Get a bit of things, and they kind of you hear them they're about to go. But then we get our introduction, what's going on kind of moment. Our first, I suppose, what's going on. I suppose, especially for Jay, this is going to be where you kind of gone, what the hell's going on? That's not a kid, because he looks like he's an 80-year-old man in a kid's body. I suppose like that's your first perceived notion of this, because it's everybody else is, you know, colorful. He's like got a green gray kind of skin.
It gave me Davros vibes.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Like the original, what you would see of Davros in the old Doctor Who.
I was thinking like a small version of Solomon Grundy.
Yep. So this is Takashi, aka designated number 26 of the ESPA project, and he is one of 3 children that still live that have the ESPA genome and have developed ESPA powers, and are cared for by the government of Neo Tokyo. And the man accompanying him is one of the doctors on the project, and he is actually trying to snuggle him out.
Yeah.
Oh, see, that would have been that I never knew, and that would have been helpful, because even by the end of it, I couldn't understand why this kid was with him in the beginning, because it seemed, not to skip ahead, but it seemed like he was like comfortable with the other 2 kids of the program, and like seemed like they were almost like a little family. So I couldn't understand why at the beginning he was trying to escape with this guy. I was so
confused. It does. I think it later. I think it's briefly explains it, but not in details where you go, oh, I got it. And I think this is where you would have to rewatch it a couple of times. You go, I think this is one of those is where you would have to rewatch it.
Yeah, that was my first thought at the end. It was like, I think to properly grade this, I would need like another rewatch, because at first it was so much to take in. I'd need another watch to be like making more sense of it.
But this whole scene, I love this scene. It's a bit graphic because he's getting chased down, the dogs are coming after him, and that scene when he goes through, there's like a because of the riots with going on with the I suppose you want to call resistance or whatever you want to call it, is they're having their fight. The bikers are over there, and then he's going straight through the middle, this guy, with the things, and just the animation and like the blood splatter with the dogs, with everybody around it. I thought this whole scene was great. And then of course he goes in on the wrong side with the lights. He's bleeding away, and then like we get our first snippet of Kay. She's in the crowd.
Yep.
With what's Kay's? Sorry, what is Kay's kind of? Is that the guy's name? Is it with the
I believe so. If I'm saying that right, Hannah.
Yeah.
Was it Ryu? Ryu? I always forget how to say it.
Yeah. So we get with that the right kind of police, I suppose you want to call it, kind of get their attention to him. They realize, don't shoot. There's a kid. He's kind of advocating, just run.
Yep.
And they just literally just blow him away. And I had to change the picture just because it's just brutality. And I think this was a time of like in the probably like, I don't know, this is midway, like the 80s, like things to probably like with 2000 and AD in like to the probably like late 90s, when they made the police really brutal. If you pulled a weapon, it was brutal.
You're gonna get a knife.
Yeah. Like they don't mess around. Like this is probably like good because they shoot him like there's like 5 or 6 of them with like automatic weapons, and they just carry on, and it's just the brutality of it. And I was like that, and like it was a style they went to just to show.
They basically just RoboCop him.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, that's kind of what I got from some of the gore too. Is like, this feels a little RoboCop level of gore.
Yep, they just RoboCop him.
Yeah, and then of course the kid, he literally screams, and this is where you first, I'm guessing, if you catch it, maybe on a rewatch, maybe you didn't see it because of the writings going on, it feels, you know, he's got power and he's like that. And he just literally everything comes on him. Oh, I got a Tumby raid. Hey, Tumby. And
hey, Tumby.
Things.
Hello.
Tumby raid. Figured it much, everybody. Yeah, you can just feel the experience. But again, it's literally, it's the like untrained power still, isn't it? It's like that. He just like, it just goes all the glass, it comes down, and it's just, it's nobody's like safe. It's like that. So it's I don't know if you got that, Jay, on the first one. Did you think it was him doing it? Was that?
Yeah, no, I was quickly just given his appearance and then the way everything shadows around him, like, okay, this kid's got powers. And that the other guy's trying to, like, you know, help him escape from whatever it is. I was able to put that together.
Yeah. And then Kay, of course, sees him disappear, and she just that kid just disappeared.
Nani?
And like that. He just, and then of course we get out. Now I must say, I always found this what number is he? Sorry, I'm gonna have like number.
So Takashi is number 26.
26. I was just gonna say that. I had it. Yeah.
I always think he's in a suit. I always find that funny because he is a kid.
I thought he was a grown man. I thought at this point I was entirely confused already. I'm like, all right, so these like kids, or these experiments gone wrong where it's grown men that have shrunk? Like I couldn't, because he just looks like a little grown man in this suit. I was very confused at that point.
Yeah. So literally, so now he's hunting this down. Now, I would love to have played this next whole sequence up. Is brilliant because you've got the capsule with the clowns. They're now in a full hunt of each other. They're in that the tunnel. It's brilliant for that tunnel, and then like the everything goes off. But then Tetsuo. Yeah, he gets a bit above himself, probably because of the previous statement. You've never taken out a clown by yourself, and he goes like through the kind of the fire system. Boom! I'm going after him. So he actually goes after the kind of the remnants of the clowns by himself, whilst everybody else is heeding back a little bit. It's great, and of course, I don't know how the kid got on. I'm guessing because he can reappear with his powers, how he got on the kind of, I suppose, the highway system, a kind of like that bridge system.
How he got there is fairly simple, because he used his Esper powers to teleport away. But because obviously he saw one of the doctors that took care of him get absolutely torn to shreds. And in that moment when he uses his powers, he has a inconsistency in the controllability, because number 26, Takashi, is actually fairly adept at using his powers when he's emotionally stable. Now he's emotionally unstable. So yes, he teleports out of the way, but not exactly where he wants to go, and then pops up on the freeway. Also, for the sake of completion, the other aspect that we saw in the suit is Masaru.
Oh, that's right.
So he stands in there, and of course, I couldn't get a good shot, but he's standing in the middle of the road, and bang. What's the name? Takes him out, and then he kind of, I'm guessing again, he uses his powers to protect himself, and I'm guessing it's like hitting concrete. He's literally just rid of bang, and I don't like so he's down and out. He's like, where did you come from, kid? So the kid's completely terrified.
And so what happens here, by the way, funny tidbit, and I don't know if any of you, if you've read the manga, spotted this. When Tetsuo drives his bike and nearly runs into Takashi, and Takashi uses his Esper powers to protect himself, he actually, when the bike blows up, puts a small little barrier around Tetsuo so that he doesn't explode, because he doesn't want to kill him. So when Tetsuo hits the ground, he only hits the ground from maybe like a knee-high drop, because Takashi put his bubble on him. The protective barrier, however, is the saddest mistake that Takashi will ever make, because being in contact with the Esper energy is what triggers Tetsuo later.
See, I was wondering how this. So does Tetsuo always have this power? It's just not awakened in him, and this interaction awakens it, or does it transfer from Takashi to Tetsuo?
No, so Tesshô is one of the people that have the innate Esper ability. He has the gene.
So
pool.
he's force sensitive, so to speak.
But not really force sensitive in that way. But like think of it more like the X-Men, where he has the X gene to be a mutant, but he hasn't realized his powers yet because his powers are dormant. And now Takashi comes in, uses his Esper powers on him, which triggers the X gene to be like, no, you actually have powers, motherfucker.
I see.
Yeah.
I was wondering that.
Accelerant. It's an accelerant, I suppose.
And I totally missed that. Even
I think
after reading the manga and watching the film, I thought the government people were just sweeping away Tetsuo to take him to do whatever same experiments were being done on what appeared to be these other children. So I completely missed that.
They don't get it straight away, because if you see, we'll be coming to when, of course, the bikers all turn up, and then of course the army come. This is where they feel a bit fearful, because the actual army has actually turned up for these guys.
Versus the police. Yeah.
And of course you get you're not supposed to, like, they kind of have like a telekinesis, don't they, really, to each other, like, and this is where Jay thinks, he actually says we're not supposed to be out, and he's very calm about it, isn't he? So he's like, that's what I'm saying, like, he knows he's not supposed to be out, like, we're not for this world, so he's probably got he wants to be, he thinks, but he quickly decides, I'll go back. But when, of course, the colonel gets everybody down and out, but when they kind of arrest them, but when this is the bit, I'm sure I couldn't get. When I rewatched it, I was after I did the screenplay. But this scene, if you look just slightly to the right, it looks like the other biker that he's hit his helmet off is in the bed next to him. Now, if somebody can get that picture, like, have a look at that, I'm sure in the Akira thing. So at this point, I believed they didn't know about it. It was only till the doctor did that comparison. Later, that he realizes, we can put the Akira comparison on top of it, and he's got the Geno, I suppose you want to call it. It has been activated. But yeah, I think they took them both away because, to kind of clear the field, as Sandy said, wipe it down. Nobody was here, look into the red light, and then get the bikers on the way, because who's going to listen to some juveniles that the military come, the magical kid with some things, and their mate got hurt. But yeah.
And the second biker that got took in for testing, because they know that, okay, if they had contact with the Esper powers and they survive, so they didn't get torn to shreds by the Esper powers, maybe they actually are capable of developing the Esper powers themselves, which is why they got taken into the facility and put through testing.
Yeah. So after this, of course, our juveniles, I love this picture. It's like linking things. I loved it. Like, they're in like it looks like a makeshift police in, like,
we'd call it the lockup, like where you get held before you get processed and
it looks like it looks like they've got so much going on. They've made it like, section like 14 in whatever area, because they've got not just these juveniles that they like, oh my god, you bikers, idiots, they're going to send them off to their, get their numbers up again, or they go to like proper jail. And then they've got the rioters, of course, and then of course the police are going through the folders trying to find the people who actually are, I suppose, the resistance, I suppose you would call it, the actual against the games, the governing body, the council, as we find out later. Now, this is a thing, it has got a much of a similarity back from what actually Battle Royale, the Japanese like doing this against the government of the time, didn't they? Really, it's like, they're showing their two fingers up at them. They've got this stance of like, the ruling things with we do like our explosions and like that. They do that, and they do it in this quite well. But I think this scene it's supposed to be the comedy level leveler, I suppose, onto this because there isn't much onto it, and it's supposed to be a little bit quirky, a bit funny. Even with the guy with the hand grenade, like, and he goes, for the resistance, and it's a dud, and then they kick the crap out of him, and then of course, and this is where again he sees Kay. Oh, she's part of our gang, and it's like, and he's smitten. He's seen her, and he's a little bit smitten. And then, like, when he's going off into the next scene, he's like, when they're outside, he's kind of chatting her up. Like,
what
he's
an
trying
awful
out,
person he is. However, let me tell you what the film omits is. So back to the drug story. So they get their drugs to go deal elsewhere from the dispensary at the school because he's hooking up with the young girl who's a nurse, who's putting her job on the line by stealing drugs and giving them to him. And there's a storyline that she's pregnant and he doesn't care. So what a creep. What an absolute creep. And I know that's not part of the film, but it's like, you really don't like this. I don't like this character at all.
Well, I say they're supposed to. Yeah, they should be. That's what I think. Doesn't in the manga. They should all be in prison. They should be, but they have a scoring. I think they mentioned it briefly in the movie. They have like a scoring system, don't they? If they go over a certain number, then that's it. Off your pop.
And then you're fucked.
Yeah. But so they go out, of course. I did this great little thing. I always say, like, when you was a kid, the jacket. I always wanted the biker jacket. Like,
Hanayama's got to have one of these jackets.
Yeah,
in the closet. He's got it.
I wish.
The full suit. That's great. Cosplay as it. That'd be great. But so she kind of like, oh, you're very immature, and he's trying to play up like, he's the big boss, biker boss kind of thing, but being again very immature. And she kind of sees one of the other kind of in her little resistance circle who's been sent off as well, being handcuffed. And then she just leaves. And then the next bits we get is the kind of, I suppose, like a very MRI scanner. I'm guessing is the best way, but it's very futuristic MRI scanner. And then this is where they come up, and then the colonel has to come in because they found I don't know what do they call it? They call it something, don't they? It's not like it's like a pattern, isn't it? It's like I can't remember exactly what they call it. Anybody?
I forget.
Yeah.
Did he say it? Do they call it a pattern?
I can't.
It's something where it's whatever it is they call it. It's like it's matching that of
Akira. Yeah,
and then like pattern or signature or something.
Yeah, and the one they've got is a replication. Isn't because they're still studying it. Is like this is the best reproduction, of the pattern we have got
since number 26.
Is it? Yeah. Things. And then of course we get a little bit a bit of an insight about the colonel. He's with the council. A bit like he believes there is somebody infiltrating it who is a kind of I suppose like a part of the resistance, isn't it? One of the council members is a thing. So it's a very like cut scene, more towards the manga, and then needing to this scene. I don't think this scene is actually needed how it plays out in the movie. I don't think the whole corruption in the council is actually needed. I don't think it is. I think it could have been cut. I think because you don't have that side of the story to gel it out and go with it. It's because it's really just, of course, getting to the with the gang and to the Akira, I suppose. But I was just a bit lost. It was just like there. It was unless you knew the manga. I think you're going, what's going on? Oh, there's corruption in the council. What's the council? You don't really see much into it. So, but
the backstory is basically that you have political corruption. What else is new? And the riots and the resistance are happening is because the current government or in the movie, the current government is imposing a new tax law, and basically that tax law would just kneecap everybody outside of like the top 5%. Literally everybody else would get shit on, and that leads to the big riots because they will literally tell them to go fuck themselves.
Yeah. So into this, I had to bring out this picture, probably the best picture. I just found it funny. I think it's great anime. Just a little shot of the school. I suppose it's like a juvie school. Is like where they've been told to go. You know, a bit of a slap in the wrist. I'm guessing they have to do so many hours, and they just go back on the street. That's it. So they get kind of reprimanded into this kind of school for the delinquents. Instead of going jail, you got to do your hours here. It's just again, it's a bit of things. They're bored there. They've got to stick it out.
So now I can't remember I can't remember in the film because I guess maybe the manga resonated with me a little more. So when they are all marched into this place in the book, they are summarily beaten to a pulp.
They get a little
was that in the film?
They get a slap.
Yeah, they all get like slapped across.
Okay, so they do.
but
in the book, it's a little more graphic.
In the manga, they literally get beaten the fuck up. In the movie, all of them get the discipline slap.
Yeah, well, and I actually, I thought that was kind of funny. Just the way that the guy just kept yelling "discipline, smack!" Like the way they ran it in the movie, kind of played for like a.
And here's the fun part, and you can go back to just that specific scene and look how he hits each of them. Because depending on what they did, 3 of them only get an open hand slap, while the other 3 get a close punch to the face.
Oh, I actually didn't even catch that.
Oh, I didn't have to go back. I've never noticed that.
I just thought
3 of them get slapped across the face because, like, the 3 that get slapped got the lighter sentence, and the other 3, because they got a higher point score, he got really upset with them because he's like, no, you're doing dumb shit. Stop doing dumb shit. And so these 3 with the lighter point score only get the really hard open hand slap in the face, and the other 3 straight up catch a right hand. They literally get a punch straight to the face.
The name of the institution is the 8th District Youth Vocational Training School. And there's graffiti over that sign that says 8th District Youth Prison, entry free. And then they're all lined up. And then the panels are very graphic, bloody. And then behavior modification is over. And their behavior has been modified.
Yep, by getting the shit kicked out of them.
Seriously, yes.
That'll usually do it.
That would do it. But yeah, so
an ass kicking has never hurt anybody.
Oh, and they had to say thank you very much, sir, after every smack.
Yeah.
Yep.
So now we go back to our most secure government facility, and lo and behold, somebody's escaped. not just for the first, like, it won't be just for the first time. I always find this bit like it was quite easy for him to escape a government hospital that is apparently a secret one.
Just kind of walked right out of there.
Yeah, and he's like at this point, he's not having these hallucinations. He's not really tapped in yet, so it comes a bit later. So yeah, when this happened, I like, even when I watched it, I was like, that was a bit easy. Wouldn't they have guard there?
So to be fair, now I'm gonna ask Sandy. Do you remember how he runs away in the manga?
No, because when we just started talking about, for example, the other biker next to the bed, and that, I don't even think that's in here. I started flipping through. I think he just appears. What am I missing? I think he just appears, and they're like, Tetsuo's back. Tetsuo's back.
No, so when Tetsuo leaves, because I have the volume in hand right now, and this is omitted from the film. I don't know why. I don't know why they left this detail out. It's kind of important. Because the 3 Esper kids are talking via telekinetic, and he overhears them talking, and their voices wake him up. So he's in a room. So the room that he's in is and so the room that he's in is not locked, because they think he's fast asleep and knocked out, but the other 3 Espers talking is what wakes him up, and so he just gets up and leaves.
Okay.
That's it. But yeah.
And to be fair, they should have locked the door, but they thought he was knocked out cold after the testing, because he has been knocked out for like at least 5 hours. at this point, like from when the accident happened through the testing all the way to here. It's like 4.5, 5 hours. And he's still completely knocked the fuck out. So they're like, okay, he's fast asleep. That's good. And then the kid's talking telepathically wakes him up. And he's like, where am I? Okay, I'm leaving. Fuck you, bye.
Yeah. So he goes to get a hamburger or cheeseburger, whatever it is. With, what's her name? That would go about her.
Shoot.
Now, is he?
I can't remember.
Yeah,
Yes. I was gonna try to remember all the names
not,
too. I'm doing a terrible job.
In this, I can't remember. I'd like because of wild things. They're not boyfriend and girlfriend. She loves him.
Yes.
More, there's more of that, isn't there? Yeah, that's right. So they've got things, and he kind of what's the name? What's it? Oh, there we go. He steals. Oh, hold it. What's going on? They'll ask them guys. They're still in the things, and they see somebody stealing your bike, and he's nicked the bike after about like nobody's really like she's very what was going on, but not very much about where you've been. Is okay. Like she's just up in love with him, and he just wants to show the guys I'm big enough. Like I'm well enough. So he takes the bike.
He takes Canada's bike to be like, no, I'm him.
Yeah.
Main character.
And their intention is to run away, though, right? Because I think he says that during the hamburger scene there, where he's like, let's just run away.
Yeah, I'll show them. Yeah, but of course, what happens is when he goes past the clowns, he goes past one of the clown gangs, like I guess in their hideout or their things, and he completely messes up. So there's one of them, and they recognize the bike. It's a bit iconic, isn't it? So they kind of chase him down. And then, of course, I couldn't show the scene prior.
Nope.
Wouldn't allow me.
No.
Yeah, she gets very handled.
She gets defrocked. Let's say she got defrocked.
And bit beaten up. And, of course, he's down and out. They're overpowering him. And, of course, now they're going to blow up the bike.
They try to blow up the bike.
Everybody, of course, they've boom, let's go, and the capsule gang have all turned up, and they grab one of the clowns, and he just goes for him. Then he just beats him to oblivion, really. And even when Kaneda has to actually tell him to stop, and you're going to kill him, like, who do you think you are? And he's like, he kind of pulls rank, I suppose. At this point, he's like, no, he's done. He's done, and this is where he kind of not just because of I suppose his character triggers a episode, I suppose you want to call that. So he has a bit of a moment, a vision, I suppose, like that. It's quite graphic, like he's like him. And what is it? Intestines come out and everything like that, don't they? It's like that. He has everything.
We see glimpses of Akira in this one, right? I think.
Yep.
Is this the flashback where we start to see the
you see
of Akira himself?
Yeah, kid.
Or at least the form that Akira was in before he last erupted or exploded, whatever you want to call it.
Yep. So, and this is the awakening of his Esper powers, because now that he's left the research facility, he's no longer on the medicine to suppress the Esper gene.
Right.
Yeah, they say that later as well, don't they?
Right.
Yep.
So
now the mutant boy awakens.
Right. So, I think a second watch would definitely benefit me on this one.
Oh,
now there must. Yeah, I don't think they used to like that, but they track him down again. So they've got the tracker. Like I'm guessing they're tracking the element, I suppose you want to call it, to make it simple, or they've got a tracker on him and he doesn't know about it, or it's in the medication or something like that.
They track the wavelength of the Esper energy.
Okay, yeah. So they things like that. So they get him off. They literally quickly give him his medicine because they can see what's happening. He's not in full control. Yeah, and they take him away quickly and they did before. Is like, yeah, and it is really the government. He's our property now. He's our property. He ain't gonna get away again. Hopefully not. That's what they think anyway.
So I have a quick question here, Hannah. Maybe you can help me with this, or maybe you, Stasis, who both know this better than I do. the government involvement with the other 3 kids and what they're trying to do with Tatsuo at this point is like the whole experimentation process. Is this that they're trying to create another Akira or they're trying to prevent another Akira? I couldn't really grasp that even by the end of it.
They are absolutely horrified of the idea that another being with even remote access of power that Akira had would appear. So any sign of Esper powers will immediately be shut down. That's why they also created the medicine to regulate the potential power output so that nobody will ever live, nobody will ever be born again with even remotely that much power as Akira had, given Akira's power was great enough to detonate an entire country and basically trigger World War III.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So that's what I was confused on. I'm like, I couldn't quite figure out if they were trying to prevent it from happening again or weaponize it themselves this time. Like create it again, but weaponize it and control it type of thing. I was a little confused.
I think there's like the scientists they're trying to learn what it is. They still don't know, do they? But they're still they will force and control it, I suppose, like that, you know, dumb it down. That's why they contain them 3 kids in it, like the numbers, and you see other ones later on, you know, to the confinement of that, the kind of a government within a, I suppose, like a government hidden in the government. They're like, I don't know, a section that you'll never hear about, you know, that nobody has a name. You know.
Section 0.
Yes. But yeah, of this, I like that. So whilst that, like, they get little things, little bit of what's going on, the biker gang are just having a chill out, and of course another riot happens. And I love this. It's like all the smoke, and the smoke comes out. And I love this bit when it's all foggy, and then one of them's like, he's got like a gas grenade or something like that. And one of the rioters comes out, he's just scumbag, bang, like that. And he just shoots him. It's like, yep. And I was like, you don't even know what could have been anyone. It's scumbag. I love it. It's just a little funny moment. But you get like a K, and I always forget his name.
Ryu.
Yep.
Am I saying that right, Hana? Because I feel like it's either Ryu or Ryu, and I know one of them is wrong.
Ryu is correct.
Ryu. Okay, perfect.
So whilst they have their in again, always there seems to be when the rioters, the resistance is happening, and of course, who spots K? Of course, Kaneda, and he's still a bit. He's still a bit. Hello, you should be mine.
Such a creep. Such a freaking creep.
Yeah. So
he's a little too persistent. He's kind of
so he follows her down in, like, he's like followers around. They're now they're going into the sewers. The police have somehow tracked them through the sewer system, like that, and wins like that. So he jumps down to protect her after the police. She first time, obviously, she uses lethal force on somebody. She shoots him. It looks like originally she shoots him in the ear, but it must have been more damage because he actually dies through into the water, doesn't he? Doesn't come out.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of like through the cheek and side of the face damage, but she definitely, it's definitely a fatal shot.
So yeah, she's completely shot, can't move. He's you've done that. Now this is where I think, like, I can't remember in the manga, they don't use that kind of weapons, you know. It's all brute force. Most of their, you know, like with the other gang, they don't go out to kill them. It's like to kind of to maim, I suppose, like that. It's like,
well, maybe not the clowns, but they had no problem taking out that poor guy eating dinner in the restaurant.
Collateral damage. That's like
that guy didn't matter.
You eat dinner, motherfucker.
The rest of them they're a little bit more gentle with, but the guy eating dinner, he didn't stand a chance.
Yeah, and now we get, and this is where I'm guessing, Jay, you started from this point. I can see where you would go. I've started to kind of lose it, like just what was going through, because you start now getting, I suppose, a bit of flashbacks, a bit of weirdness. That's the best way I put it. So you get that. It's like now we get we get an elementary school, or whatever you call it, like what's going on here. The dad gives it like a kid to the teacher. You get like a play area, what's going on.
So
And
who knows whose flashback that is?
So I'm trying to remember. So this is Tatsuo's flashback, right? No, this is Tatsuo reliving some of Akira's flashback, right?
No.
Oh,
No.
I'm so see. I was so confused with this.
This is Tetsuo reliving Takashi's flashbacks.
Yeah.
This is the flashbacks of Takashi of number 26.
Okay.
Yeah,
goodness.
I was lost at this point.
That's what I'm saying. This is you have to rewatch it to kind of get the
Yeah,
it's like
this is what I do. I give
tutoring course is good too.
Yeah, but that's it. This is where you get the weirdness. You get like the breaking up and all
I
that.
thought that the effect of the this little kind of crumbling effect was pretty cool. The way it went through like the shadows of his legs and kind of didn't affect the ground around him. I just thought that whole little effect was pretty cool looking. Again, visually, it's really impressive.
So yeah, and he wakes up from this, I suppose, nightmare vision, absolutely in agony. Now it's mostly the powers building up, and he's getting these. It's like his brain, I suppose, capacity can't actually cope with what is actually going on. And of course, we get. I always think this picture's freaky. I always think this is actually.
Do you know who that look? Do you know who that looks like? That is when we get to whatever happened to Baby Jane. The Betty Davis character is dressed, and she's an old lady dressed as a little girl in her bed with a doll. I'm telling you, they took this right after whatever happened to Baby Jane.
So, and here we are introduced to Kyoko. And by the way, for all of the Espers, they are technically not old, but they look old because they have aged through the overuse and overstimulation of their Esper powers. So while they all look to be in their 60s, none of them is older than 18.
Oh, I didn't even think they were that old. I was very confused on the age. I thought they were like younger children. I didn't realize they would have been around 18.
Yeah, so the oldest one is 18. So the Esper that is in the suit, which is Masaru, he's the oldest. He is technically 17, but thanks to the rapid aging of the drug use and the abuse of his Esper powers, he is 66. And the youngest one is actually Kyoko. Kyoko is technically speaking 62, but in reality is 13.
Wow.
Interesting. See, I thought she was the oldest too, just given that she was kind of bedridden. I thought maybe she was the oldest or experimented on the longest. I think
she's the most
powerful. I guess the other one's got like that levitating chair too. So is that a side effect of all the testing and all that? I guess.
Yeah, it's literally like because like they are allowed to use a small part of their Esper powers because they can't fully suppress it, and fully suppressing it is what rapidly aged them in the first place.
Yeah. Now this trio always reminds me of another movie, Minority Reports, because she makes out that she's the stronger out of the other two, and the other two are male, and she's the female.
I've never seen the Minority Report. That's the Tom Cruise one, right?
Yeah.
I've never seen that one. I've seen bits and pieces of it on TV. But
but Stasis, here's where you are mistaken, because if you remember when they tested Tetsuo, the researcher says that they have not seen potency to the pattern since 26. And 26 is Takashi. So
but for the movie, how it lays out, it seemed like because of what happens later.
Yeah. So, but they make it clear that no, it's Tetsuo, then Takashi, but there's a vast difference between those two already, and then it's the other two. The thing with her, so the thing with Kyoko is just that while her power is not as great as Takashi's, her individual control of it is more finite, to the point where she could literally trim your beard down to the last hair, down to the last stubble with her Esper powers. Takashi could not. His fine-tuning isn't not as great, but his overall power output is greater than hers.
See, I wouldn't have caught that. I assumed she was. I thought it went literally in the reverse. I thought she was the strongest. The guy in the chair was second, and then Takashi would have been the weakest. I was completely off on that.
Yeah. No, because Takashi gets the highest amount of medication to still allow his Esper powers, but to not have his Esper powers be a threat. Because again, by suppressing them completely, that's what rapidly aged them in the first place. That's why they look how they look, is because they completely overdosed them, suppressed their Esper powers down to 0, and then this happened. That's why the researchers allowed them to have some amount of power, but not enough to be a threat.
But even this scene, they're realizing with him there's something weird going on. There's it's not right, because like they're acting different, and he's got something about him that they're gonna try to control. But this is where they realize they need to go back to the kind of the source, like that. I don't know what the area they call it. They don't call it what they call it later. I can't remember what exactly they call it, but they're going back. They do their, get the experiment back up and running to make sure everything's okay. And this is where you first find out what Akira kind of is. Akira is behind, if you just see things, he's there. It's literally a kind of, was a plaque. What is a plaque? Red line. So number Akira 28 is there. And yeah, it's very vague. It's a good little setup of what's going to happen later, but it is very, it's there to make you go, ooh, Akira. Because it's very a glimpse of what it is. So it's like that. And then of course, you get the doctor, scientist or whatever with the colonel kind of, you do your thing, we're military, we do our thing, kind of like that. So they're very uppity of what their roles are. You have your role and I have my role. And then of course we get back to Kaeda, who's now rescued Kay, kind of taking him to she's taken him, I think, to the safe house, where all her, I suppose, resistance buddies are, but they're, who the hell are you? You could be a spy. Like they say, they lock him in a room, key and all, to kind of get like that. And yeah, it's they've got their little plans of what to do with him. What are they gonna do further on? They've kind of got all the information. They shouldn't have all the information, so they seem well organized, but there are reasons why they're very well organized later. And of course, Kaeda goes to escape. Like, I love this bit. What's that noise? And he kind of tries to get through the, I suppose, the ventilation system, doesn't he?
Yep.
And all he can't. Is it this point? I'm sure it is at this point. He tells them all that he wants to do. He needs to get into whatever section it is to get his friend who's being held, kind of their hostage, I suppose, like that. And it's the same facility, lucky enough, is where the resistance kind of want to go. So it's things. And then yeah, again, after that little interaction, it skips into again what we said. I don't think it's needed in this movie, is where you have the council kind of member. We don't know he's the council member, but of course he's talking to the resistance man face to face. So he's a bit, something dodgy is happening. But it has a little bit of more. This one is what is heavily played on in the manga, is with the religious aspect to it, the religious aspect of Akira, what is completely very dumbed down to the littlest moment in the movie. They don't really go heavily onto that. A lot of people will, they find Akira as the second coming. That's the best way you could explain it.
The cult of Akira is not really that brought up in the movie.
No,
because like
it felt kind of random.
Yes.
Yeah, it feels kind of random, because the cult of Akira is basically what you get when you have overexertion, even in Shinto religion, of praying to deities. And so the author figured that for the Western release, having the more Shinto religious subtext of the cult of Akira being that heavenly worshipped as a living god would maybe either not get over, or would be misinterpreted given how well Christianity is established in the Western civilization, and so they cut it.
Interesting.
Yeah. So yeah, we get the council members. Like I say, that there's only one little scene, isn't it, when they're on the bridge with the religious bit at this point. A little bit later, but yeah, the council members, and then of course we see who's the corruption, who's in with the blatantly now from that scene to that, who's there, and they kind of they're kind of an unorganized kind of council because they're just a corruption of what's going on. But why
this
that means
this kind of made me think of like V for Vendetta, that little and a lot of other movies too. You get that kind of shadow council and that circular table and going over those plans. I could start to see a lot of, because when like I said earlier, when I first watched the trailer, I might have actually said this backstage, I'm not sure, but when I first watched the trailer for it, all these videos came onto my YouTube feed afterwards. Everybody talking about how influential it was for so many different aspects, so many different themes, even little shots, scenes, things like that. And as I was watching, I was like, oh yeah, this kind of reminds me of this. This reminds me of that. So I could see quite a bit of that.
Yep. You will get that a lot.
Yeah. So in that we've got our resistance, Kay and Kaeda, is there. They're dressed up, I suppose, but they're just like the maintenance man. They don't really explain what they're going to be. I'm guessing they are, but they're on their way to do their kind of role. Whilst we get back to the hospital, not hospital, the medical facility, where it starts to go a bit weird, and it starts to get weird without a bear.
Yep.
Anyway, this is where we started getting anime weird for me. Not just storytelling weird. This was like, okay, I'm definitely watching anime right now.
Yep.
Yeah, this is where people, you could go, what is going on? So you get like he finds a bear. That's okay until he takes some water, and there's a bear, a little moving car, and a bunny rabbit. They start to move, and then they start to get bigger and start to get a bit gruesomer, and it's literally
milk.
It's milk. It's literally like mad. But they start, fangs and all that. It's got things until he steps back on the broken glass, and there's blood.
The bears don't like blood.
No, and they get completely freaked out. Literally in pain, like stop. They're like I always thought of this. They're trying to show that because there's a connection, kind of, they're feeling the pain as well. So the blood is also because of the pain, because of their connection, because they can actually read through him, and of course they quickly turn into it's the kids.
Yeah, and so it's not that they could feel the pain, but because because obviously Takashi is number 26, etc. We have seen the Akira test subject number 28 room, so there have been quite a few of them, and which is also in the which is behind the scenes material, because this is not even in the manga, but it is heavily implied that they have seen quite a lot of their own people die in one way, shape, or form. And so when they see, specifically when they see blood, which is also apparently when Takashi first loses control of his powers, when the one that tries to smuggle him out gets shot, which is, again, the blood triggers fear, and fear triggers Takashi overusing his powers, because whenever they see blood, they immediately think of somebody is dying of death, and that thought literally has traumatized them and scares them, and then they lose control of their powers.
Yeah, see, I didn't catch that at all, because I was especially confused when he calls him a jerk. I'm like, what the hell did he do? He just stepped on a glass. Like, I was very confused by that. So, one quick thing I actually want to point out here, because we haven't really touched on it yet, and this scene had a little bit of it too. More specifically, when the miniature version of the bear and the rabbit, and I think a little toy car are crawling up the bed and up the pillow. There's some really good music in that spot, and there's really good music throughout this whole thing.
Throughout,
the music is phenomenal. I loved the music in this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Even like just the general sound design of
yes,
the movie.
I was going to get to that too, Hannah. I was going to get to that too. The sound design is really good.
Yep.
So from that, of course, we get this weird kind of scene. It's very, very, very weird. We get our resistance. They're back in the sewers. This is where I never got this. Is why did they have to be maintenance men to get into the sewer network? Because they don't really explore it. Was it that? I can remember. So so they
I didn't get it because I'm like, well, if you're in this disguise and you're caught down there, wouldn't that be the whole point of the disguise, so that you would blend in? So that's why I was a little confused at this too. Like, if the whole point I mean, unless the maintenance disguise was just to get through that doorway or intercom system, whatever it was, and this is beyond that, I wasn't sure. But I'm like, well, if you're in maintenance gear and you're in the sewer, that should be disguised enough that if you did get caught down there, nobody would immediately think, I'm going to use my flying bike to try to shoot you. They would just think, oh, it's maintenance guys in the sewer.
Well, that's it, because they have like this surveillance, I suppose, a drone, I suppose you want to call it, like comes out, and until the bike comes, they try to hide, and they just literally open up. So maybe they know they're in an area that's a no-go zone, and if you get caught, you're dead. But they don't explain it, and they just open up fire to the kind of I suppose, like, I don't know, you even call them like just flying bikes, I suppose you want to call it, don't you?
Yeah, like speeder bikes almost.
Yeah. And of course, it all goes a bit like, few of them die. Maintenance things, the police, I suppose they're police or they're government agencies. They don't really explain, like, who have like a kind of a Gatling gun like at the front of the things.
At one point, I think in the arrest scene when they're in that kind of like lockup area, one of them mentioned something like, "Oh, I didn't know the government was working with the police." So it's got to be some kind of symbiotic relationship that both police and government agency has at this point.
Yeah, but of course they managed to luckily steal one of them. Takes the guy off. They have a bit of trouble. So Kay and Kaeda they're now shot out of the way, and they're off to, and he's off to rescue his mate, and she's kind of off to do the resistance work. Unfortunately to them, something's gone in the head. Let's just say something's popped. Let's say that. And I always think like that is the best way to put this. His powers have got beyond his control. I said, like, that is the best way you go. So he's now he's starting to tap. So he kind of escapes again his room. They try to alarm, but his whole fault now is because he knows about the vision. He's going to the room where the kids are, I suppose, like the three.
And to be fair, this time we cannot blame the research facility for not keeping him more secure.
I don't think there's a lock in the world that would have worked.
Yeah, it's like, okay, now you're trying to secure Charles Xavier. Good luck with that.
They open up. I had to, probably the least graphic scene is literally, so he just literally takes them out, bit more graphic than this, and he just literally Terminators his way through, like that. He just like, I'm going, I don't care, you can stand in my way.
Just when he walks down the hallway, it's like cutie Terminator music, and it fits.
Yeah, it would do. Yeah, it's literally, you're not stopping me. You are not stopping me. And like, there must have been, because we get like a snippet later of the other children that are, of course, now deceased. That like these security guards, unless they replace them quite often, you were one of the lucky ones survived. There's going to be rumors shouting down like, if they come, you don't stop them like that, because you're dead. They like their powers. You are. Of course, then he gets into kind of like I suppose a playroom. That's, he goes into it, and he's kind of surprised to what he sees. He's very playful. It's like it's a toddler's playroom.
I think they even call it the baby's room. I think if I read the subtitles right, something like that. Yeah,
and they've got like, all the art and all that, for toddlers, like your babies. It's like that, and of course,
the children's room, by the way, exists because usually, unlike you are unlucky and are Tetsuo, the Esper gene usually awakens between the ages 2 to 6. But because Tesshô was dormant for so long and also grew slightly bigger before Takashi by accident awakened it. Yeah. Whoopsies.
Yeah, so he goes into the things, and of course their defense is kind of their trickery with their mind. It's the only defense they've got, really. Again, they go back to let's have a scary bear. Whilst again, they're all calming it down. You know, he shouldn't be there, and they try to do that. He kind of overpowers him with his untrained, I suppose, unhinged power. I suppose you're going to call it like that.
Uncontrollable, maybe. He can't control it yet.
Yeah, but plus you need to remember the 3 test subjects. So number 26, number 30, and number 31. And yes, the other 2 are never numbered in the movie. I know.
I thought that. I was wondering that.
Yeah. They are still on medication. Tetsuo is not.
Yeah.
So they have no chance against him anyway.
So
because their alpha power is suppressed, and he's like, nope, limiters are off, bitches.
Mm-hmm. But it's even when they're kind of a defense attack, I suppose you want to think they're only, they're going for like drinks. She's the calm one. She's the one who's trying to like get in his talk down, I suppose, like that, everything's like that. But kind of, he's hurting, he's in pain. Is it from them, or is it his power is just, it's bubbling, and all he can do is unleash it, doesn't he? He's like realizing, and he's kind of starts to like it in a really, he realizes I'm God. I'm not going to be bullied anymore. What he's had all his life. It's kind of a sentiment like into that.
It's an interesting kind of classic story of the powerless getting power, especially in his case of feeling like, a bit kicked around by even his own friend group to a degree.
Yeah. So that's it. And it's literally it's kind of just that feeling. You can see that with just how they animate his face. It's just like, oh, I kind of like this.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. There's pain, but there's power, and it's like that. And it he kind of
now he is the one who knocks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we get and of course, whilst this is happening, Al-Qaeda and K are, of course, coming in. The facility is getting kind of reverberated from the playroom, and of course he turns up, and he kind of again he's been asked to him, really. He's like, I'm here to save my mate, but I'm also going to be, who do you think you are? I'm bigger than you.
Yeah, and Kaneda kind of pisses me off with this throughout the rest of the movie, because he does this again in their next encounter, or one of their final encounters too, where he's just like still trying to play this I'm the boss of you type of thing. And it's like, dude, at some point you need to give that up and maybe try reaching out to him as a friend. Like, you don't have to do this, blah, blah, blah. Instead he just keeps antagonizing, no, I'm still more power. Yeah, you might have powers, but I'm still, in charge here type of thing.
You're still going to be the unpopular one.
Yeah, it's like, dude, you need to take a step back and maybe try to reach your friend instead of continue to try to bully him in the ways you did before.
Can you read the room?
Honest to God.
I mean, there are certain character themes with all of them, and I'm going to save that for once the thing is over. And then maybe some of their character antics will make more sense.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yes.
What's it? So we get that. We get again, they're trying to, everything's going and things. He kind of rips up the whole floor. She does her. Kai's tries to calm him down. She gives away the location of what he believes is Akira, because he's heard this. So it's at what stadium is it? The
Olympic Stadium.
The Olympic Stadium.
Stadium has it. So she accidentally gives it away. He's like, well, that's where I'm going then. So that's he's kind of, unfortunately, they've messed up kind of slightly there. And then why we got that is she has this tap into, and I thought this was actually good because you can see the two-way flow. She taps into K. Now I guess this is where I lost it, and I always do, is I don't get how this connection happened.
Same. because a scene just before, a little bit before this, you figure out that geez, I can't think of the girl with the psychic powers. I can't think of her name right now, but you see her talk through Kay while she's on the back of the bike with Kaneda as well. So they're starting to hint at the idea or give away the idea that she can have some telekinetic powers, or at least a link with this girl, Kay. But I just didn't understand why Kay. Like,
it doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't.
Why doesn't she just direct link into Kaneda, for example? Like, I wasn't quite sure why it was this girl.
No, I don't think even after a rewatch you're gonna get that answer. It is very vague. I don't remember in the manga they have really this moment, like she's heavily in it at the end, but I don't remember it in the manga really either. Like how they in-depth explanation of it.
Like, does she have the gene as well or something? And that's why I couldn't quite.
I just think it's like a conduit, I suppose, is the best way to use it. It's something to use because, maybe I don't know. It's a bit vague, but yeah. So our man of the hour is off to the Olympic Stadium, but he needs a stop. Now, this is the only bit in the movie where it's different. I say Sandy and all that. For you've already mentioned it in the thing. He goes back to the bar. He kills the barman. His mates turn up, his so-called friends and things like that. And this is the only time he's there for the drugs. He needs his pills. He needs what his biker gang do in the manga. Is he's there to pop the pills. That's it. He wants his hit.
So in the manga, Kaneda has been carrying around one of the pills since the very first encounter with the government, when they're in that underground, when the motorcycle crash happens that initially injured Tetsuo. And he, I guess, one of the government agents would have had one of the pills for the number 28, and Kaneda has it, and he's been holding it. And he actually, before this, goes back to, as I mentioned, he had been getting his drugs to deal from his quote girlfriend, who is a clerk in a dispensary. He takes that pill to her because she's got a little machine that can analyze the strength of drugs. And she does. And then she tells him that it's basically off the charts. Like, this is the strongest, just 1 grain of this and you would get locked up forever. Yeah. So that's as you said, that's a whole thread through the manga that only here now, I don't think it's confusing that it's missing, because if you watch the film without having read, you're just thinking these are pills to control, to both, control the psychic energy or what have you, or to ease the pain. But you don't realize that there's this underline. And the government also suspects that Kaneda has the pill, and no one should have it because it's not a drug that anyone should have exposure to. So that's all missing from the film.
But
I don't think it takes anything away.
No,
yeah.
Because I think even if this is what he does to, I suppose, his biker mates, that is completely erased. There's this bit, and there's his mates. There's a big scene in like the chapters. I can't remember which one it is. I think he kills like most of them, and he overdoses them on the drug. And like that. So yeah, they don't need it. Is it needed? It's not, because you don't need that many backstories within this time constraint of one movie. Let's be
the main reason why this was cut is, remember, Western release
2 hours.
No, it's not 2 hours, because an animated movie is not regulated by the time constraint law that was in place in Japan.
Oh, okay.
So animated movies were fine, but the reason this was cut is, remember, this is 1985 when production started, and now look at news in America, 1985, of crimes related to drugs.
Yeah, we had the Just Say No campaign.
Yeah, and so they were like, this might look very insensitive, because they don't know that it existed in the pre-material, so it might look like, like inadvertently poking fun at the drug problem to have the over-avertent theme of the drug use in it. That's why they cut it. And again, decision made by the author, not by any committee or whatever. It was the author's decision of the manga to be like, maybe let's work around it.
Yeah. Clever. So we get, of course, in the holding cell. He's back in a holding cell in his orange jumpsuit. So Kay and Kai and Kaneda they're in their hole, and then of course, who contacts her? They like start to speak through her, don't they? About the situation.
It's the same person, right? The God, I can't remember her name.
Is it the girl? Is it?
Yeah, the girl with the telekinetic powers.
Yeah, and then so they're having their back and forth. So we know definitely there's a connection now, and they even then unlock the door for them to kind of escape again. Escape, but no, don't worry, there's no security guards like that. Again, it's a government facility. It's like one of the easiest places to escape if you kind of got your right friends. And of course, they kind of they get out. He gets one interaction with one of his biker mates who brings the bikes, like smashes up the bike, and then Kay's there in the background, and of course, who turns up on the water side?
Takashi.
To take her away. It's just like that. So he takes her across the water, and they disappear. And it's what is going on moment again. It's like, they need her help at the Olympic Stadium. So we get now back to, and again, I don't think this was necessary. I think it was the council. We find out now the corruption within the council. He's killed all the main guy. He's nicked the money. He's out for himself. He's killed some of the council members. We get Kay's what was Ryle? What is the name? Ryu comes in. Yep. The council member shoots him after everything's gone awry. We got to get out. We've been found out.
I'm very confused by this character at this point. I can't tell what his goals are, what side he's on. I'm just incredibly confused by him at this point.
His side is his own side. He basically lives to whatever fills my needs is the route I will take. He is literally his prospect is egotisticalism. He is the one guy that you look at when. How do you explain somebody that is just an egotistical dick and will literally screw over everybody just to get ahead? You show him this motherfucker.
But even with that, because you do get the idea that he's an out for himself kind of guy. I just can't figure out what the goal is for that out for himself type of mentality.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because he's
agree.
working with the resistance, okay, but then when the resistance comes back and everything's failing, he's just concerned about packing up his money and running. I don't know. I just couldn't figure out. I definitely got the vibe that, so he doesn't really care about the resistance. He's out for himself. But what was he using the resistance for? That I just can't figure out what his actual end game was, other than it just obviously being self-serving.
It's very simple. Welfare, because you have the government that is imposing the new tax laws, right? So the resistance leads the people against the new tax laws. Now you have the military that needs to be supplied with material, with weaponry, all of that bullshit. The resistance also needs to be supplied with armor, weapons, ammunition, blah, blah, blah. This is where this motherfucker comes in and it's I can supply both of you if you pay me. I make a lot of money. And if shit goes south, I just fuck off and leave because I'm rich.
Okay. That makes more sense. I couldn't piece it together.
That's his sole motive. He's no, I'm going to serve me. Who I need to screw over, who dies in the process, I don't care. I get money, I get rich, I'm easy. I can go to the fucking Bahamas and retire.
Yeah, I get it. I don't think it's needed for the constraints they put onto the movie. I think if they edited the council scenes out and just had the resistance playing in the background, with Kay, I don't think you need this interlink. I don't think it needs. I think if you do it, you're going to make an epic movie. Epic trilogy. I think, but I just, it's not fitting into the constraints they put on themselves.
It
with
felt like it was missing some of the details that maybe it's fleshed out in the manga better. It felt in the movie side that it was just missing some details that would have helped explain it better.
Yeah.
Or at least explain his role and significance to everything better.
So whilst they've done, he's had a shot and he's out. Of course, our boy's outside.
Oh no! Now with the Super Saiyan haircut. Now
I noticed that was the first thing I noticed. I'm like, that's a little Super Saiyan.
Now everybody's fucked.
And of course, the tanks are being told, there's your target, and they're like, it's just the kid. But of course, our kid needs a cape.
I'm not sure how this cape attaches.
Where did the cape come from? I was wondering.
He pulls it off like a little piece of fabric that's next to him. He rips it off and just kind of wraps it around his shoulders, but then it just connects somehow perfectly.
I had to rewind that. It's like, wait, did he have a cape before?
It's
so
animation magic.
So and by the way, it's like yes, it's a cop out answer, but it's the obvious answer. How do you think his cape holds in place when he is the most powerful psychic known to mankind outside of Akira?
That seems like a waste of telekinetic focus.
Hey, everyone needs a cape. Everyone looks good in a cape. Let me tell you.
It's super villain law.
It does pull off the kind of super villain transformation, so I'll give it to him. I'll let it slide.
Yeah. No, it does. Yeah, he's like his hairline's just gone back, hasn't it? He's just gone. It's brilliant. So of course they fire, and he takes it back. And whilst this is happening, of course, our councilman is trying to escape with all the money, but he kind of has like, I'm guessing like a heart attack, doesn't he? That's what he has after our man is chasing him as well. So he gets his things again. It's just a plot to the, not really that's really needed, of course. So whilst our main now our Cape Crusader is taking it off, he's love interest, I suppose, sees him on TV, and then she's like, well, I'm going there. But of course, so he's heading towards that is, I think they announce it on the news station, don't they, that he's going towards the Olympic Stadium.
Yep.
So they all go things, she goes her ways, and of course our man is back on his bike like that, and he's just like, rips it off. He's ready to roll. So everybody's now, we've got one way to go. We're going to the stadium, of course.
So let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
What with the advertisements on the bike akin to a NASCAR? Citizens, Canon, like those are brands. Like what the heck?
Yeah, I don't. I'm guessing for the art. I don't know. Canon's a massive Asian brand.
They do Dunlop tires as well. I noticed.
Yeah, they do one of them. Yeah.
So I wasn't sure if it was just product placement or.
Is this bike competitive? Is this
I don't know.
Like a NASCAR or Formula One car, or
I think it's just like coolness, isn't it? It's like
Okay.
And I suppose I don't think there's any.
Interesting.
So the thing behind it is like and I don't know how big this was in America, but like Stasis, obviously you would know, specifically in the 80s, in Europe as well as in Asia, people for some reason just loved fucking putting decals on their cars.
Mm-hmm.
And this is literally the reference to all of these ugly ass decals that people would, for no apparent reason, just put on their car just because they thought it looked cool.
So it's like people who put bumper stickers on their car.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, there was a thing. Yeah, they're like, you had it like in the like some cars, like some really like cool Corvette or something like that. What they're called? I can't remember.
So maybe
what do you call it? Fiat. Like we had like Fiat cars.
Yeah.
Souped up like Fiats, Fiestas they did in the UK, and they just used to to make them look like they look now cool because they have a commercial logo stuck on the side. Reasons?
Yeah, for no reason at all. And
we didn't do
basically that.
Those kind of things on cars. The bumper stickers were more like silly sayings or whatever.
No.
But what we did have in the in the let's say in the 90s. I wasn't in high school in the 80s. In the 90s, so you would have a binder. Like today, you would have a laptop, but you would have a 3-ring binder that you carried around with you, your Trapper Keeper. That's what it was called. And it had a Velcro thing around it, so you could keep all your papers in it, and you would stick stickers on that. And that was like,
exactly. Yeah.
that was like your
Same thing,
brand.
yeah.
That was your thing. It kind of was like flying your flag, with depending on which band stickers you had. Like I had Def Leppard on mine and whatever. So maybe that's. I was wondering if they were competitive.
Do you have like
bikes.
the patches? You like the rock patches? You like you have your leather jacket, your denim, and then they put the patches on. That's exactly the same thing. But people did it, and then they used to. There was a big thing like people used to nick the Rolls Royce logo, and then they would take that and that would be
pry
their
it off
treasure.
the car.
They pry it off, so they did anything that was expensive cars, pry it off, and then that was their thing. It was a big thing in like the 80s to the 90s, definitely.
And that's basically the reference to that with the stickers.
Yeah. Okay. I just trying to figure out what was up with the bikes. Kind of doesn't fit, but okay, I get it.
Yeah. So our main man, I love this. Just the look.
Cape Man.
Hey man, he's crossing the bridge towards the Olympic Stadium. We of course get our first kind of like, again, it's the what we said earlier. They're not unreferenced really. The religious factor are following him. They believe this is, there's been rumors in the crowds. There's been a couple of fights that this is the coming of Akira. There's been a whisper. So now the religious set are following him. Again, heavily different in the manga. Of course, the police, they got this, or is it military police, cross police, the laser cannons now they're using at him. That lucky enough he's got a little barrier and they don't seem to do him any harm. And the rest of the people behind, they kind of got mauled down.
Nobody cares about the people behind.
Yeah, I don't care. He then, again, this is like where it's shown like he doesn't care. He's got his goal. He needs to get to Akira. He that is it, because he just literally destroys everything now. He's literally going for, he's got his goal, blows up the bridge. All will say like here, the everybody behind him, you're dead. If you was on that bridge, you're dead. And of course, so the religious fanatics, they're dead. I love that like picture, but they got the bit of concrete just
the guy with the face just smashed in by a brick.
Done. That's it. And of course, whilst this is happening, they are tracking him. The scientist is back again. What's going on? Yeah, we're tracking. It's getting stronger, and he's watching. I say what we called it the pattern earlier. What they call it? It's literally
like signature or something.
Yeah,
I forget.
Yeah, and he's getting. This is where he's getting concerned. He is getting seriously concerned about what's going on. Of course, then we get he gets to the location where Akira is, where he believes Akira is. And Kay is also there. They have a kind of a what you kind of moment doing here, but he's got the power to get into Akira, and the colonel, everybody turns up, but he finds out very quickly it's not what he was thinking. Akira is kind of a test tube now subject. The remnants, the being of Akira is in these canisters.
Yeah, basically, which is what they use actually to make the drug to suppress the Esper powers.
Yeah.
Also, little side note. The big giant sphere that Tetsuo rips out of the ground, which is the Akira sphere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Funnily enough, by the time production had started, the Ninja Turtles had not yet released in Japan. So when you look at the sphere, you cannot help but think that's the fucking Technodrome. But
oh my god, exactly. Oh my god, you say that now. I'm always gonna see that now. I've never noticed that. Oh my god.
Yeah, but the funny thing is, but Turtles had not yet released in Japan, so this was literally coincident.
Wow, that is absolutely
But if you've seen Turtles first, you cannot look at that thing and be like, "Oh, so Akira just lives in the Technodrome." Nice.
Yeah. So there's Akira. The things with in his little jar, what is left of him. And of course he looks a bit happy. He's a bit smug of himself. I always think he looks a bit at ease that he's a bit pissed off, but he's finally found out that what Akira actually is. And of course, who turns up? His mate with a laser pistol. And I always found this bit a bit strange. Is like he doesn't try to take him, talk him down. He's there for a fight. They're like, you look at what you've just done. I'm here to stop you, and I've got a laser gun. So he picks up the laser gun, of course, when he's driving along, picks it off on one of the dead cops. But yeah, they have again, like it's what Jay said. He's again a real big ass to him. He's like he's undermining, like you're just a small man. He's like he's egging to his powers, I suppose, like that. What he doesn't know anything about is just like, stop it. I'm the boss. I'm the big biker boy. You're just a little runt that's been, at preschool, elementary, or whatever since your mum gave you up, as an orphan. He's just a bit like kind of mean to him, but then they just straight away just goes into full fight mode. He shoots his laser pistol, rifle, I suppose you want to call it. He manages to gets a shot off. And then, of course, you kind of made me angry. And he literally, again, they're having a fight. Now, I always think this, like, he really, with his powers, even though they're not fully controlled, he really could have killed him in one kind of easy explosion of his body particles, I'm guessing. I don't know why this got dragged out longer than it did, except for because of the movie thing. But, yeah, they have their fight, of course. They're back and forth, and then whilst he thinks he's got the upper hand, what's this coming from the sky? Like that. I like this bit because he's like,
which is technology rule number 1. There's always a bigger laser.
And of course, where's the laser going from? It's coming from a satellite in space, like that. And
orbit.
Yes, that absolutely.
This is where I had to pause the film again and go back another minute. It's like, okay, did I miss something again? And then I rewound again, and then okay,
nope.
Now we're in
there's
space.
just their satellite in space, being controlled by that, and they blow off his arm. Let's say, I couldn't really, again, YouTube thing I really could show, even though it's animated. Yep, he hasn't got an arm now, like that. So they literally take out his arm. And what does he do? He does a Superman. Going into space like that. So he's so angry.
They fly.
They fly now. He goes straight up into the orbit and takes out the satellite things. Now it's when he comes back is like, so everything's a bit, it starts to go a bit odd now. I'm guessing if
now
you were,
it starts to go a bit odd. I'm sorry.
no, I'm going to say if you're not up to what is about to happen, this is where I can see a lot of people. Oh, now I'm completely lost. If you like getting it, you like it, because when it comes down, like the scientists is like trying to explain. Oh, there is, the spectrum's now all over the place. We have got no control. He's blowing up everything. He's come down. Everything around is going everywhere. And then he gets to his powers, to the things he's now being able to cyberpunk himself up, I suppose, like that is cybernetics. He regrows his arm from any remnants of technology. He comes along, his powers have grown like immensely. Now he believes at this point in the things he has control. Of course, the kids, they know different. They can sense he's losing it. Whilst he's, of course, doing this, he's girlfriend, I suppose we're going to call it girlfriend. What's her name? Sorry, what's her name again?
Kaori.
Dory. Turns up, like, bless her. Like, because I'm going to say that because she doesn't have a good way out. She kind of tries to console him, of like he's in now mental agony, I suppose you want to call it. He's literally crying of pain, isn't it? So like, he's made he's taken the Akira capsules, but he's losing it. He's losing it, and you can see that the Colonel turns up, you know, from the destruction. He makes his little throne, whatever, like, but he can't control the technology that he's consumed within himself. It starts to spread, and then you gotta get the bet. I'm glad to call it. It's called the Blob. You kind of get he just loses it into it's the Blob.
Blobness.
Yeah,
Blob.
Because what's happening here is that subconsciously his body is trying to accumulate more space to hold his power.
Oh, see, I thought it was just anime happening. I didn't really understand it.
No,
bit from column A, bit from column B.
It's literally that he has lost so much control over his powers that his powers is basically now what would happen if you have no conductor for electricity. It will just go anywhere and do whatever the fuck it wants.
I see.
But inside his body. And now his powers are like, we are too confined in this small space. Let's just make more space, but without any room or reason.
See, and I'm curious, I don't know if I think for me, I need to watch more anime to be able to analyze anime properly as I watch it. Because
yes, you do.
I feel like that, like I never would have really picked up on that without the explanation, to be honest. And I also don't think the movie needed to have that explanation, because obviously, like, when you explain it there and I look back on what I watched, I'm like, oh, okay, that actually makes sense. I like that. It's just I couldn't pick up on it in real time because I just didn't really know what was going on. So I don't necessarily want them to have put it in. I guess I just need to get better at analyzing what I'm watching when I'm watching anime.
Yep.
I think because he's like the screams he gives, like he's trying to control it, but it's just out of control.
And that's what, like, looking back on it now, I'm like, oh, okay, that's all making sense. You know, it's one of those things, like, I don't want it to be over explained, but also, you know, maybe that's kind of just on me for not picking up on it. So that's interesting.
No, that's a lot of manga. A lot of manga.
Yeah, will do that. Some practice to figure out exactly what's going on.
It looks like So back to the things, they look like they're done for. Literally, unfortunately, until takes off a nice little lucky little shot. I like this, how he's now got his jacket off because he's giving it to Kay, and he's got like the yellow and red. I think that's kind of cool. But yeah, our man is getting angry. They're like, but he's getting angry because he can't control his anger. Let's say that. Whilst at this point, the kids kind of turn up as well. They realize they've got to kind of step up to the plate. They have that condition. They know kind of the struggles it's going for. Whilst then, of course, the fight is still happening. They're discussing what they should do. Of course, Akira's there, and he's fully consumed in cannot control this. As you said, this explosion of power, I suppose, like that. What is just becoming this the blob. He's just getting this control of matter. Just power is just going on and on and on, and of course it just consumes. It's just going to consume. They all get trapped into it, and bless her, he's a girlfriend. This is the bit. This is bye-bye to her. She literally
bye, have a good time.
Yeah, literally gets, I guess, in squashed like
assimilated.
Suffocated.
Yeah, yeah, it's the only thing. Yeah, but you see the blood. That's it. Oh.
She gets assimilated.
Yeah, it's not a nice way to go. And it's probably the only innocent character within the whole. Again, is the one who gets the worst death. Yeah, it's so things like that. And then of course, Koyama is kind of talking to Tetsuni, kind of whilst he's inside, of course, him, I suppose, like that, getting kind of about to get crushed. He, lucky enough, takes out a lucky shot that kind of, after he's kind of starting to consume the stadium, let's say that, he gets out. Of course, whilst that's happening, the three are kind of at the foots of Akira, kind of figuring out what their move is, because they don't seem to be a lot. The Colonel taking pot shots, yeah, and he's just at this point, he then starts to go to consume them. Everything's going wrong, doesn't seem like a way out. Akira's like capsules, I suppose you want to call them, get shot at. Then there's the light. I suppose it's supposed to be, especially like what we're saying about Akira, the second coming, a deity. And then finally, right at near the end of the movie, we get to see Akira. He's back in, I suppose, spiritual form. He's not, I wouldn't say he's a full flesh essence. He's come back to at the time where he's most needed, is like that. He can understand the full bode of what is going to happen, because there is this uncontrollable power. So he turns up, but he doesn't stop it, does he?
I mean, he does and he doesn't. But we get to that.
Yeah. So they crack on. Of course, it's what we see at the beginning, the kind of the light, I suppose, of Akira, I suppose, like that turns. I want you kind of things like this, all powerful power. I don't know what you would call it. Is the only way I could explain it. Is just he is the power. I suppose, like that. Everybody's in awe. Anybody can see it, and it starts to consume the city, I suppose, like that. It's literally this bowl, the ball of light of destruction is heading in anybody's path. If you come in contact with it, you're a goner. But whilst we get that, we get some weirdness. We get a moment of time again, and this is where it tries to explain parts of the movie that was weird within this condensed flashback dream state, I suppose you want to call it, because we get, of course, happier times, I suppose, like that, with the them as I suppose beginning to be bikers. Sorry. Within things, and then we get, I'm guessing this is where he was given up as an orphan and like that. So we get the kind of a very snippet of his backstory of what he missed. And of course, whilst we get that, we get, of course, Kaida. He's just floating in space of what, an entity. It doesn't really go much into it, things, but we get the real story behind the story about Akira of the test subjects. And this is, like with all the kids there, and I'm guessing this is that scene, because we get him with the orphans things, but when this is the kids, isn't it? Probably the 3 kids are in there.
Yep.
But this is them showing there are multiple kids. There was multiple test subjects that the the military, you know, that they had to do this, their experiments on. So it is actually kind of like not a nice kind of story that you kind of get, you know, all these kids. This looks like to me, this is Akira.
This
Is
is
it
Akira,
when he's,
yes.
yeah. So this is, again, they're showing the life things of what they were doing. He's hooked up all the kids, you know, they are what they call it. They are the hamsters. They are
See, and
they
here
are
is and
Tassadin.
yeah, and here you get a small glimpse into the treatment that the test
Yeah.
subjects had, and why when Tetsuo stepped on the glass and had blood coming from him, why they immediately got scared because of previous treatment.
So yeah, it shows like even though they seem to be not willing, but they're not willing to make a noise. They know their powers and they know how dangerous because of the deaths that has happened and what Akira could do. So I took it out, but now they're just stuck in, you know, they've got no way out. They won't be accepted by the real world, that's what you want to call it. So they're stuck into their little experimental government treatment they're going to get for the next how many years. And of course, whilst we get that, we get back to I don't know what you call it, like what he's floating in. It's just weirdness, isn't it? It's just that anime kind of like everything's breaking down. I got it from like, you know, where his hand is breaking up, everything is breaking up around him. But
it's just like matter is like like the laws of physics are being broken, like in a nuclear explosion, you know, and like matter at the submolecular or subatomic level is just being you know, blown apart.
But it's like it's also like they're trying to show, you know, when they say your life flashes before your eyes, because they show backstories of them, you know, when he's I can't remember the toy is, he hands him a toy and he was getting bullied when he for the toy and he got beaten up, and so he stuck up for him, Kaneda. So it's got that. Of course, we have again the nobody realized how bad it is. Everybody's gonna die. Well, that's it. So the scientist that he gets wiped out. Whilst this is happening, everything's going on. It finally gets to a head with the city is literally gone, literally explosion gone, all got sucked into a vacuum, into a little white bead of light,
like a pocket universe.
Yes, it is. And what is it? I'm guessing that's up to you to determine in the movie. What's that? Kai is there to kind of say goodbye, and all they turn into, and if you're looking back to it, they just turn kind of back into the street thugs they were, back on their bikes, goes back into the broken city, and boom, end of. And it's just literally, I can see I loved how you would get this movie. You would get, wow, it's a kind of, it's in segments of, oh, I get it. Oh, what's going on? Oh, I kind of got it. Oh, now I'm lost. Oh, I'm back. No, I'm not. So yeah, it's, for me, I put it on there because I think it opened, like, it's a stable of anime that everybody has to watch. It is a timeless classic of anime. Is it the best anime out there? No, by far. There are better ones out there. But I think if this is, you're going to start you off, because you could accidentally stumble onto one of the weird ones, and that might put you off immensely. But I love this, and I watched it, and I just watched it back to back. I loved it. I was like, and I think you have to. I think you have to re-watch this to kind of get so much of it, because there's so much you miss because it's so fluid, but it's so bits are, oh, it's there. Oh, that makes sense to there, because it does get a bit disjointed because it's trying to replicate the manga, but if it did it fully and we had a discussion before you two turned up. It would have to be like a trilogy of like 3-hour movies, bang, 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 near enough, because there's so much in depth it could be. It subjects itself to the 2 hours quite nicely, but there's a lot that you go, oh, why did they do that? Why did they do that? Unless you know the manga source, you get in. Yeah, you can see where you get you would get lost very, very easily. So for me, I'm going to go straight off the bat and give my score. I'm going to give this a solid 8. Because I think, yeah, I have a place in my heart for this, but I would never give this a 9 because there are better manga anime out there that have better storylines, and then you have the freaky weird ones that I kind of adore, but you kind of get, this is a very strong thing. It has a very good, like, you just go by how it's the structure of the animation to the story. It's beautiful. I think this is one of the better drawn ones, because they all have their own style, but I think this is one where it come out, as I say, Jay said, it doesn't feel old. It just feels fresh. I can understand if this is your first time. It gets a bit lost. It gets a bit weird. So yeah, highly recommend it, because I think this is one where you're always gonna like, it introduced the West to anime, and it introduced it in a very good way. You know, like you have the biker element. It's quite cool. There's bits of it. Yeah, I introduced bits that I think could be cut from the movie. But I think it's a good, it's a good pinch. It's a pinch of salt that it makes you open up to a bigger world. Let's say that it makes you, it did for me, it made me go and dig into anime. So I hope that for my pick, it makes you go, I've not seen this one, and get some, especially like from the, like this period of time into the, like probably the late 90s, this where it was getting good. It got really like some of the anime that started coming out, like manga, like the movies, especially, just hit after hit, especially the big ones. So yeah, I highly recommend it on that, the kind of prolong that is something you would start to love. So let's leave our guest till last, because I'm guessing I have a lot to talk about. So out you two, who's going to go first?
I'll go first. So let me preface mine by saying I don't think I'm honestly qualified enough to really rate and analyze manga or anime. It's just something that's totally new to me for the most part. And like when you're talking the structure of storytelling, all that kind of stuff, it's a very different world to get into than film or TV or even, comics or Western animation. It's very different. It's got its own style. So with my score, it's going to be very much based on purely just really entertainment for the most part. I don't know exactly how to analytically break down anime yet. So what I will say is I did enjoy it. It is a ride. I didn't always know where I was on the ride or what was going on, but it was a ride, and I was able to enjoy it. Visually, it's stunning. The artwork, the animation, very impressive. The look of it, the colors, the brightness versus the dark colors, like it really just, things just pop. It's a really, really nice looking anime. Holds up to this day, as far as, like I said earlier, you could have told me it was made last week and I'd believe you, because it looks great. Music was something that stood out to me. I thought the music was wonderful throughout the whole thing. As Hana mentioned earlier, the sound design is also really good as well. The way they play with silence in this, I think, is really effective and really nice. The story I was able to generally keep up with it. But again, as we've talked about throughout this whole episode, it loses me a bit just in confusion. Doesn't lose me in terms of like gripping or entertainment or engagement. It just loses me, and I'm trying very quickly to just piece together exactly what's going on. I think a second watch would definitely raise this, in my opinion, in terms of my enjoyment score, because I think just sitting here and talking about it raised it quite a bit. Now that I'm kind of, I'm sure you can point out parts of this whole episode where I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense, or things like that, because things were starting to click, which is one of the great things about Film Club as well. Not just reviewing the movies, but talking about them because it gives me a new perspective on it. And more so not just watching the movies, but talking about them, because I get that new perspective, especially from, Stasis and Hana, who are very familiar with this and watch more anime than I do. So the score I want to land on for now, I know it probably doesn't sound great given how much this is loved by people in terms of a specific anime and how influential it apparently is. I'll probably fall on a very solid 6 for now, with a rewatch definitely coming, because I want to watch it again just to try to piece together some more of what Hana and Stasis have explained throughout this episode, and just look for some of the hidden artistic themes too. Because even as I was kind of watching some videos, like I said, I watched the trailer, and with that came a bunch of shorts and stuff on my feed. And as you're scrolling through, you're just hearing people gush about this and its influences and all that, and some behind the scenes look at the hand-drawn artwork and all that. And it was really cool to see. So I think finding out more about it and being able to watch it again will benefit me more and probably raise that score a little bit. I would recommend it to anybody who's, into anime or just kind of a nerd like any of us here that are into like different things and willing to give things a shot. I don't know if I could recommend it to the more common moviegoer or movie watcher. It might just be a little too much or a little too weird for them, or too kind of all over the place. But I would definitely recommend it to anybody who watches Film Club and is a nerd and likes this kind of movies and all that stuff. And definitely a rewatch coming for it. And I like to think it might have opened the door a little bit more for me with anime. In the past, I've only watched a bit. In the past, I've only watched a little bit. A few episodes of Cowboy Bebop here and there, Dragon Ball as a kid, and stuff like that. So this was, in many ways, not necessarily the door opening for me, but pushing the door open a little bit more. So that's kind of where I leave that one.
I like things. I would actually put your sentiment, because I like what you said there, is like one of them albums, music albums that you go, when you first listen to it, you're like, I'm not sure if I like it. Then you start to, you're like, oh,
yeah, and it grows on you. Like, okay,
I actually get what they're on. It's like that, because I remember watching when I first watched Ghost in the Shell, I didn't like it. I was like, oh, I'm not sure if I like this one. Then I watched it again, and it's up there. It's up there. It's one of the best ones. But yeah, it took there's a couple on there. You have to go, that's a couple of rewatches. Now, again, you're gonna watch ones, and you're gonna be like, I don't like that. I don't get what people are about. But yeah, it's hopefully it's opened up something like But yeah,
it's definitely for a first watch. It's definitely a lot to take in all at once. Yeah. That's why I think going for it that second time will be a lot more helpful.
So, Sandy, as you've got the graphic novel, I suppose it's part of now the chapters or the volumes.
Well,
are you still going through it? Or did you stop halfway at the moment, or are you still going through them?
No, I finished. Well, I finished volume 1, so okay. I did finish volume 1. And I think similar to Jay, some of the lack of exposure to anime and makes it a difficult watch and a difficult read for me, just because culturally we didn't grow up with it. What I found really interesting is the way that what little I have been exposed to Japanese film and anime, and there's so many themes that come out of the Eastern experience with World War II, and particularly the atomic bombs. And there's a lot of reference to obviously explosions and radiation and those images. And it made me think how much for Westerners, World War I and II, and in America, the Great Depression, are probably the 3 greatest influences on literature in the 20th century, both film and writing. And maybe for someone who experienced it in the East, maybe those themes wouldn't resonate with them. For example, all of our, so much literature and film, especially influenced by the Depression, is about capitalism and is about what we determine to be success, which is generally related to wealth. So that said, I try to really come at it with a completely blank slate and an open mind, and read it for what it is. I too think the animation is amazing, as well as the music and the sound and just the overall, just the overall vibe of the film. take the culture out of it, take my lack of knowledge out of it, I do not like any character in this film. And I have a problem connecting with any work of art, film, literature, where I cannot connect with any character. There's not a character I like. I for some reason don't feel sympathy for the kids. I don't like any of the bikers. And over again, I'm not finding any reason to root for them or to care about any of their stories. And so for me, that overrode my lack of knowledge and comfort with anime in general. It was just the lack of a connection with any of the characters. And so I gave it a 4. And personally, I would recommend, based on my trust in you, James, and you, Hannah, based in my trust that there's other anime out there and I just have to acquire a taste for it. So I would I recommend so that we can learn and do more. And I will certainly welcome that and look for it. You mentioned Dragon Ball. I guess for me, now it's going to date me. Speed Racer, right? That's technically anime, right? Those old cartoons that were dubbed when I was a kid. But I will certainly welcome it with an open mind.
Yeah.
Just like I hope all of you will welcome when we hit some Shakespeare. We're gonna have some homework.
But I think, like what you're saying, like this one's got a very complicated story if you think about it. But there are other ones like I think Castle in the Sky is quite simple. It's a very straight, it's a very beautiful one written. Princess
Mononoke.
Yeah, very beautiful, very like that, a very simple story. There are ones in there that are very like a very easygoing anime. I suppose that's the best way to
find a character I like Spirited Away. I definitely like the characters in Spirited Away, right? Except for the parents, and the baddies.
But you're supposed to hate the parents.
You're supposed to. They take the form of pigs and So, but Spirited Away and what's the other one I like? Can't think of the other one right now. But so they're I just want to like a character for me. And if I don't like any of the characters, I want to know why I don't like any of the characters. Like, I'm sure there are films out there, especially historical films about historical baddies that, yes, I don't want to like them, but I know why I shouldn't like them. And here it was just, there was nothing I think it was more of a connection, a total lack of connection or care or concern for any, even number 28. Like I couldn't feel anything for her. I didn't care. So I'll certainly give more anime a try in the future. And I'm glad that I did watch this one.
And that's the important part. And as always, if anybody needs any anime recommendations,
no, be careful what you wish for, people.
You're gonna get a list. You're gonna get a list.
If you ask Hannah for an anime recommendation, it's like drinking water from a fire hose. It does not stop.
You shut your mouth. Simon's.
There's spreadsheets on this.
Boys, we talked about this before the stream now. Behave.
Anyway, there are spreadsheets for the spreadsheets.
Yeah. Well, the recommendation. Yeah. There's logic behind it.
Oh no, there's madness behind this. There's no logic. There's only pain.
It's just pure madness.
Pure madness. No, but obviously, I fucking love this film. Like, is this the greatest animated movie ever made? This is the greatest anime movie ever made. No. Obviously not. But even for all of its flaws compared to the source material, because obviously try to condense 72 chapters over 6 volumes into one single 2-hour movie was already a giant task to begin with. But I have watched this movie now in total for the 50th time, and I'm still not getting sick of it. And it's one of these where the more you watch it, the more you notice, because you know what's coming. so your focus can be on different things. It's literally one, like, the more you watch it, the more you notice. And so obviously I would actually agree with Stasis. I would give this a solid 8 because I'm a cynical bastard and I cannot give it any more given that I have movies rated higher. But I would definitely recommend it. And I would recommend it regardless of if you're an anime fan or not, regardless of if you're a nerd or not. If you like weird sci-fi shit, and or if you just want to watch some weird shit and are not opposed to just throwing one in there and look what happens, watch this movie at least once. And you will most likely not regret it.
Yeah, fair enough.
So, and then for the... Yep.
It is because, like, you watch it, like, that's what I said. I hadn't watched it for, it must be like 5 years I hadn't watched it. And then I said to you, I was like, I've just watched it and I'm watching it again because I just adored watching it. I was like, oh, I forgot how I like this. And then I just watched it. But then, as you say, you focus on the bits about it. And I was like, oh, this is good. And that's why I think it's like a good wine. It grows with age, like, don't they say? So yeah, it is. Once you start to fill in that, you realize that catch up scene is coming. I think you adore it more. Well, I hope you do anyway.
Yeah. So, and then obviously we have a bit of information for like the characters, specifically, like, in case anybody has not picked up of it, Tetsuo is not the good guy. Tetsuo is the main antagonist of the Akira franchise. He's the main antagonist of the movie. And his entire thematics is he represents destructive potential of power when it lacks complete control. He is literally like, okay, what happens if you give a kid the button to drop a nuke? That nuke will fall. Be it on purpose or on accident, but that nuke will fall. And with the end of the movie, by the way, when the giant energy disperses and you just see the what you would call it, the transcendence, you hear Tetsuo saying, I am Tetsuo. And Sandy, you might actually get a kick out of this. If it's in the manga version that you have, because Tetsuo and the 3 surviving Esper children actually create a new universe where they are not bound by limitations. And so they literally create a new universe for themselves to be free.
That's what I thought was happening, because at one point, doesn't the professor or the scientist who's in the vehicle with the energy signature say something along the lines of, like, this is energy of a new universe or something? I could have sworn I heard that uttered by somebody. Okay.
It's enough energy to create a new universe.
Right. That's what, okay. That makes sense.
Did he have any power? Did the Colonel have any powers? Because there's at one point. No. Okay.
Nope. The Colonel has no power.
You know,
so
and
then
I thought he was setting up the Colonel to be a bad guy in this, but he didn't seem like a bad guy. It seemed like he was just on the side of trying to make sure Akira's thing that happened 31 years prior didn't happen again.
Yeah, like the Colonel is not a bad guy in sense of he's not a villain, but the Colonel is also not the good guy. The Colonel is a tool to be
he's just like a guy with a mission.
Yeah, he is the soldier following orders, even if he doesn't like them.
Because he seems to treat the kids with, like, respect too. Like, he doesn't treat them as they're, like, you know, sometimes you'll see some movies where they tell a story of, like, experiments going on with whether it's just adult humans or kids, whatever it is. And the scientists and the government agencies can be a little bit rough with them, or a little bit callous to them, and just treat them as experiments. He does seem, because there's that scene where he, you know, is by the girl's bedside, and he's kind of like making sure she's all right with the medicine, with the other scientists. So he does seem to, like, care more about, you know, them than just thinking of them as science experiments.
But I think they've gone past. I think that's the past, isn't it? He's now the present. So the past did that to them. Now he's the new guard, I suppose you would call it.
Right.
That is to make sure that they're well looked after.
Yeah, like that. It's not just that they're in control or in captivity of the science, department. It's also that he's looking out for their well-being, that they're taken care of and all that, which, you know, I thought was interesting, because he's almost set up to seem like he's going to be a bad guy of the film, but he's really not. And I guess you could say too, he's not necessarily a good guy either. He's just kind of a guy with a job, a guy with a mission.
Yep.
He is a guy with a mission, indeed. Which leads us to Kaneda. And Kaneda, obviously, he is, specifically during the runtime of the movie, he is a very thick-headed individual. Because Kaneda's entire thing is he acts before thinking. He literally just does shit, and then it's like, okay, consequences will be consequences, but we can deal with them later. But he is literally the personification of acting before thinking. Is this a good character trait to have? No. Does this often get him into situations where words could have easily, or words might have had more chance than literally just punching a dude in the face? Yes. But Kaneda is also not about, or is not above being redeemed, because we see him at the end of the movie together with Kay riding back on bike into city. But he actually, and Sandy, you might also get a kick out of this if this is in your manga version. If not, then you get some information for Kaneda. He quits the biker gang. Or rather, he doesn't quit the gang, but he turns them from let's just do illegal dumb shit and be reckless all the time to basically be like, no, we get other people that do dumb shit all the time and round them up, but not like beating the fuck out of them. Like, so he doesn't turn like Batman style and just beats
like
the fuck
Guardian
out of
Angels here. The Guardian Angels in New York.
Yeah, but he literally gets his shit together and it's like, okay, we have seen what happens, specifically with Tesshô. He has seen what happens when you act before thinking. He realizes that this is his entire thing, is not thinking shit through and just going in there and doing shit, just acting on impulse and not on thought. And he actually gets his shit together. And the manga version specifically for Kaneda, and this is obviously in the manga in general, Kaneda in the manga is showing to be more caring about his people. Like, he confronts Tetsuo a lot, but he doesn't confront him because he tries to be like, no, I'm the bigger one and you need to listen to me. He confronts him because he sees himself as and Kaneda is older than Tetsuo. So he sees himself as the older one, as like, not only are you younger than us, but you are physically smaller than us. And if you try to pick fights, you will get hurt. And Kaneda doesn't like seeing his people get in trouble when he can prevent it. And so, and obviously, this is way better depicted.
A little bit of a redeeming quality coming there.
Yeah, he has, and again, like in the epilogue of the manga, like they quit the illegal shit, they quit the drug business, and they literally get like not picture perfect law-abiding citizens, but they turn more of the good page in the book, which is a very, very big welcome. Because again, the anime version or the movie version makes him more like not necessarily evil, but he seems more like a dick than he actually is. But it's not that he doesn't have these qualities. It's just that they are overexerted in the movie. And yeah, it gives him a few more excuses to do shit, but at the same time makes him look worse than he actually is. So that's like one of the nitpicks why I would not rate the movie higher than 8, because if you would compare it directly to the manga, then I would need to rate the movie actually lower. But because the creator of the manga was in creative control of the movie, it's not that well. It's the studio's fault, because no, sadly, it's not. So then, obviously, you have Akira. Akira is just like. Did you notice that when he blows up, like he literally blows up the entirety of Neo Tokyo, but certain people he makes sure are not harmed? Because in his mind, they have done no wrong to deserve punishment. So everybody in the facility that tried to experiment with his powers, they all got wiped out. But civilians that have done no wrong, even though they are in the blast radius, survive. Because Akira is not evil. Akira is power incarnate, but power that is controlled. So whoever he deems worthy to be saved, he saves with his light. And whoever he deems unworthy gets wiped out.
Mm-hmm.
So he is selective destruction. And he is the power necessary because he nukes the entirety of Neo Tokyo because now they have to rebuild. But he also nukes the entire sitting government that was corrupt as fuck. So now they also need to elect a new government, meaning since all the people that he deemed bad have been exterminated, you would think that whoever is the new government by default would be less shit than the one that he just wiped. Because now power is back in the palm of the people.
Mm-hmm.
So then, sadly, Maori died. And then we get to the question whether or not Mei is actually psychic. And yes, she is, but no, she isn't. She's weird. Weird.
Good way to put it.
Checks out.
Checks out. Yeah. So she is, or she has been overexposed to the Esper waves. And because of that overexposure, basically every Esper could make contact with her via telepathy. So she is she would be the one you would call force sensitive, but not because she has the force, but people that have it can use her as a conduit. So she herself has no Esper power, but people that have power can communicate to her or can use her as a vessel to communicate to whoever, which is to the question, why did they talk through her and not overtake Kaneda directly? Because Kaneda is not susceptible to Esper powers, but she is.
I had a feeling it might have something to do with that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I couldn't really make sense of it.
That's what I'm saying. That's why you have to rewatch, learn it into it. You just say you could dive into a pit of black hole in this one, and that's it. Some of the anime does it. It's like you just keep digging, and then you just go. That's the thing is, I think with anime, you're gonna love it, you're gonna hate it. Like that, I don't think there's gonna be. It opens up. Yeah, there's no.
So and before my time runs out, because I remember a few more minutes, I got.
It got hard out at 11.
Yeah. So like a few of the more like not really well known tidbits about the movie. The movie originally cost 1.1 billion yen to produce, which again in 1985 would be roughly about $10 million at the time. So that's $10 million in 1985, which was the highest reported budget ever for a solely animated movie. And the movie had a 2,000-page manuscript to be made. The committee that made the movie was obviously by Katsuhiro Otomo, who had creative control, and the creative committee was Otomo-san Otomo-san himself, who was again the author of the series, and then you had Kodansha, Mainichi Broadcasting, Bandai, Hakuhoro, Toho, Laserdisc, then the Sumitomo Corporation, and a final third-party investor making this the single most expensive production in terms of companies, with a total of 8 companies coming together to produce the film.
No.
The film in total had over 160,000 animated cell shots, which again, for a movie that featured the first computer-generated imagery technology for any animated film of that scale, was unheard of. Like over 160,000 animated cell shots in a movie that was which had the priority of its runtime being hand drawn.
That's what made it fluid, though. That's when you watch it, it makes it so fluid having that many.
Then you have again for the animation, they used every trick in the book, because the entire staff, because 8 fucking companies worked on the damn thing. The entire production had over 16,000 people working on the movie. This goes from voice actors to everything. It's like the single greatest production at the time, because like having 16,000 people, mostly just animators, light technicians. They even brought in 5 people that were not even involved in animation in any shape or form. They were professional airbrush artists, because some of the neon shots were, again, made with fluorescent light that got colored and then put into airbrush pistols and used by the artists to airbrush over specific foils that then got photographed with a high frequency camera, the most expensive photo camera you could buy at the time, to then be put into the computer image generation to help put into animation. But it's still, they only animated what was already there, which is the airbrush and all that thing. 3 of the airbrushed artists even had to leave production early, because production was only set to go around 9 months and ended up being well over a year. So before they left, they taught the necessary techniques on how to use the airbrush pistol to some of the animators, that they could finish the airbrush shots if need be, if the other 2 weren't enough to finish the shots. They went then again, they had they drilled small little holes in a table and put a light bulb underneath it, put the paper over it, just to have more expressive lighting in certain shots when they took the photographs, to then put it into the computer. They pulled out any fucking trick that they knew to make sure, no, we're exporting this, we're gonna export the movie, not just over to Europe, but we're gonna export this movie over to America, where big budget animated movies are not a thing, or at least not big budget anime movies are not a thing yet. So they banged every trick in the book that they had to make, no, this movie needs to succeed, and we will use any godforsaken technique, any trick, any bullshit that we can think of to make this succeed. And by God, they did. Because just in percentage return, this is still the 2nd highest grossing anime movie to ever release.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah, because the profits in percentage, because obviously if you look at it right now, you have a movie that costs $100 million and then it makes $200 million in profit. Okay, that's good, but that's only 200% profit, even if the number sounds more impressive. Mm-hmm. But in percent, Akira,
pound for pound type of thing.
Pound for pound type of thing, in just winning percentage, Akira worldwide made over 900% in profits of the budget.
Wow.
Which is the 2nd highest grossing animated movie ever.
Yeah. I wonder,
anime movie, not animated movie, because obviously
I'm guessing it would have been VHS sales. I'm guessing they would have done really well in Europe doing the. I wondered, for cinema in America, I wouldn't have thought they would have been that high.
No, because I looked it up, and I'm so glad that Hannah had all these details, because I couldn't get really good, consistent data to make my little numbers chart. But I found a few articles that called it, kind of argued as to whether it was a success or a quote flop. It did not do well in America. It probably had an incredibly limited release, although I couldn't see how many screens it was released on. But what it did was, years later, as it caught on through DVD sales and then maybe later on streaming, even into current times, it generates a lot of buzz and a lot of conversation as to what a success it would have been had it been released later, after more folks in the West got into anime. There are, obviously far more people now into it, excepting myself and possibly Jay, far more people and a much larger and more welcoming audience now than when it was released. And so, it was considered not a success then, but overall, it is highly regarded here.
Yes. The footprint that the movie left is immaculate. Just again, the Kaneda slide on the bike being recreated 163 times in any form of media, be it video games, Bollywood movies, Hollywood movies, in other anime, doesn't matter. Just that shot alone has been recreated so fucking much. And then you have like even certain animation techniques have been since then used in more and more projects. Have even been used in America. Even American animation have used some of the techniques that were used to create the movie just because of just the visuals of how it looks. It's like, we need this. This looks amazing.
It's definitely impressive.
Yeah, so the footprint that the movie will leave behind is just fucking immaculate.
Well, we're what? How many years away, and it still, has that reputation. It's only going to continue on.
Well, I say 88 was the release.
Yeah,
85 it got into prominence, and literally, it's watchable. And as they say, nobody said in this whole thing it looks or it feels a bit outdated. It's not the 80s movie at all. And that's the thing, is it feels like, I think it helps with the settings. Even when it says 2019, it's gone. It's like that. But does it feel outdated? No, it doesn't. It's like that. So I think it fits very, very firmly into, especially two of our hearts, I think, things, especially from me being, that kind of reading age of in the 90s, and picking up to it a bit stronger than, of course, earlier, and then you guys as well. But I know you've got a hard out. But I'm very
for some more anime. Go figure.
Yeah, that's it. I think from the panel and from chat, it's been great having you back. Your insight, your enthusiasm of anime is absolutely to adore and love. We appreciate you having you back on, and you never know, we might have to have you back on to see what the wheel hits us next time. But
you still have some more anime on there, right? I think Stacey's a little bit more anime on there.
If you find some more anime, if you find some more Japanese movies, if you get, like, I don't know if you have it on the wheel, if you hit like 47 Ronins or some dumb shit, like, I'm down.
Massive,
Nice.
Good.
And then I will be fucking pronunciation chief and be like, no.
It's always the best way.
All right, Jay. I thought we did all right.
Yeah,
we weren't too bad.
Oh, that's great.
I mean, I like, and I'm not one for overcorrecting, because at some point it just gets fucking dumb. But the character is called Canada, like Canada, and for some reason Stacey's always missed the N, and it's like, it's Kada. Like for the last hour, you called him Kada.
Okay.
That's
right.
Acceptable.
Blame
the flu.
Close enough.
Yeah.
Close enough. It's just what that.
I can't even hear what I'm saying most of the time at the moment, so it's fine.
I mean, you have the excuse that you are technically still sick as a dog, so it's fine.
Excellent. But great having you on. Anyway, go on then, pop off, and then you got you got a couple of minutes until you're straight onto your next stream.
Yeah,
we do appreciate your tight schedule.
It's perfectly fine, and like obviously because Tomby put the anime watch party 1 hour late, so I had the full 3 hours time. Very appreciated.
After you did say it would be 3 hours, and I said you should be okay. We've just literally on the mark of 3 hours for you.
We always hover around 3 hours.
Yeah, which is fine. So I will just I will bob out, literally go make myself another drink, because like I killed 2 entire bottles of water in the meantime, and then I'm gonna jump over, and then we're gonna watch some more Solo Leveling and some Sakamoto Days.
All right. Well, have a great time over. Yeah. Okay. All right. Have a good one, and we'll see you.
You take care of yourselves, and we will speak again soon.
Take care. Thanks for coming by today.
Bye. Oh, there we go.
Oh my gosh, he's great.
That's great.
He's the best. He's just a well of knowledge when it comes to
anime. It's literally, you just sit back and you're like, I'm just going to listen to you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
The best is just I can always listen to anybody who's super passionate about whatever it is they're talking about. And Hane is always just so passionate about anime. He makes it very interesting to listen to.
That's it. Wait till Sandy gets a Civil War movie.
Oh, yeah.
But on that note, shall we crack on with the wheel?
I think
it is time.
Before we do crack on with the wheel, can I just say just a bit about the movie next week, which is The Sting. So it is a book. The book is called The Big Con, and it's great. It's really yet again. I
don't think I've watched it, because I said I late when it span in. I adored that later in life, later in life. I was in my late 20s, mid-20s, late 20s when I first came along, to this thing. I think I might have. I can't remember reading it, but I think I would have done because I got literally. I loved this movie.
Those kind of we called it like a caper movie, right? Those kinds of, it's crime, but you're rooting for the criminals. It's that kind of crime. It's like there's really, no one gets hurt, no one gets injured. But yeah, it's really the book is very engaging. Again, for being a book I had not heard of, and it's not a direct story. The story was pulled from the book, similar to the book that Cool Hand Luke was based on, which was a series of true stories that some of the stories in Cool Hand Luke were woven into. So I just wanted to say I'm really enjoying it. And so if anyone can read the book before next week, that would be extra points, extra credit for homework before we
can I ask one question though? Before, whilst you were reading the book, did the music go in your head?
The music has not left my head. And my daughter's room is directly above my home office. And this is my daughter who plays multiple instruments. And she's been playing her electric guitar a lot. And I love hearing it because she's really good. And I asked her the other day if she could look up The Entertainer and play it on her electric guitar so that we could record it. But sadly, she's the one I took back to school this morning. So she didn't get to do it. But she was kind of doodling around on her keyboard with it. So
that's cool.
Has not left. But the good thing is, I guess, sort of, is that it replaced the Ghostbusters theme in my brain.
Yeah,
which
good.
has still been going in my brain for 2 weeks now. So yeah, The Entertainer has replaced Ghostbusters.
That's cool. But yeah, this is Jay's your first time, isn't it? I think you're going to love this. I think this
is.
I think this is going to be your highest score of the ones that you haven't seen. I think.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, interesting. We will have to potentially discuss scheduling next week because I have had something come up, so we'll have to talk about that after the show. So we may have to arrange.
Always flexible. That's fine. But shall we find out what we will be for the next time after that? Shall we do it?
Woohoo! Let's do it.
All right, 5, 4, 3, 2. Oh, I want something Gene Hackman. I want.
Yes. That
I was like, The Unforgiven would be good. Anyway, or Superman.
Yes. French
2,
Connection.
1. Here we go.
He's in so many.
Okay, we got a sci-fi.
Pitch Black. I don't think I know.
I don't know this one.
Riddick.
No. Yeah.
Oh, this is going to be good then. You've not seen this, neither of you.
No.
It's a Vin Diesel movie. Sci-fi. Was production mostly. I think it was New Zealand, Australian. I think like that. It started off a little franchise for him as Riddick. The ultimate unlikable kind of killer. Kind of that. So this is the first movie. From that, you get Chronicles of Riddick, and then they did a Riddick after that to make up for that one that bit flop because they went a bit weird on it. But this is the first one. It's pure sci-fi. It's pure unadulterated. Sit down and watch a bit of sci-fi. It's just good. You can literally just brain clicks off. You just sit back and enjoy. So yeah, it's okay. We got a good.
This is
2000.
2000.
I don't know what I was doing, but I missed this one completely.
Yeah,
I remember like Chronicles of Riddick and that. I just don't remember this one.
Did you? Did you watch Chronicles of Riddick?
Years ago, not enough to even remember. It was like on TV and I caught it.
Yeah, it's not.
Was it called Chronicles of Riddick here? Maybe in Pitch Black in.
No. There was two. It was Pitch Black. Was the original. The first movie, and then Chronicles of Riddick, and that's got Cole Uber, even though Cole Uber. Yeah, I'm trying to say his right name. Yeah, anyway. And then you got Riddick after that. There's 3 movies, and he's on about doing another one as well. So he's milked the franchise that started off as, I suppose you kind of, when you see it, it's not heavy budgeted movie. It's just done really well. It's very well, well things. It's got the one of the main characters is from I forgot her name, Black, out of Farscape. I can't remember what her name is.
Claudia.
Claudia Black, is it? Yep. So she's in it as well. It's just a good solid, that's a good sci-fi movie. I enjoyed that. Like that. So there we got again. The wheel does what the wheel does and goes around and gives us some
no book
things. But I would have thought that they would have been both. I would have thought that would have been you would have both seen that. I'm very surprised that you haven't. Yeah,
honestly,
no, I didn't realize there was a first to the Riddick series.
Oh, I wonder how it played here. I'm gonna look it up in Box Office Mojo.
I'm surprised because it's like he got, having 2 other movies off the back of it. You would have thought it would have done well in US. But it's one I've watched multiple times, and
it was a flippity flop.
Was it?
Yeah.
I wonder, but then how did he get another 2 movies out of it?
So the budget was 23 million. Opening weekend was 11 million. Total gross from all receipts was 39 million, which you have to, more than double the budget. So it did lose money. And
is that, I'm guessing that's US domestic, is it?
No, that's worldwide.
Worldwide, because I thought it might do well in Australia, because that's where it got the production was.
No, so we'll have to dig in and see, what was it competing with that year or something. It's not so on Box Office Mojo, when it has the performance and then it has the all-time ratings, it's not even in the all-time ratings. It's not even enough to be rated for that year to be ranked anywhere.
But the thing is, it's this is one of another ones where we had another. I do like my sci-fi, so I do like the ones on.
Hey, no, it's good.
Everybody likes a bit of sci-fi, but I don't think you're not. I'm surprised. It's like but it's like Fifth Element. Fifth Element didn't do that well, did it? And everybody thinks that's a good movie.
Horizon, and these are the films that over time, they've grown on us. So I'm looking forward to seeing it.
It's got your true anti-hero, let's say that.
Okay. I know the Chronicles. Had no idea this came before that.
This is how it sets up.
This is why we have a Wheel of Film.
There we go. Yeah, but cool. Excellent. So we got a good one and a good one. I think we got a couple of ones, and we've had a very good discussion on one that you two probably wouldn't have normally gone. Where do I start with anime?
Well, that's always been one of the reasons I've kind of been hesitant to get into anime. Is just it's so overwhelming with how much is out there. You don't really know where to drop yourself in. So definitely a good spot.
I think I was thinking I would say Castle in the Sky is always a good way to start because it's quite nice and things like that. Like even with Ghost of the Shell, I said with that one, it's a bit weird at the beginning. It's a bit, I don't know if I like this, and you have to go back and watch it and then you like it. It's a bit there, but there are some very strange ones out there. So you can go, oh, am I going loony, or am I watching make me go loony? There are some onto that. That can be missed. But I think that's what's great about movies. We can agree and disagree on what ones make you go, wow, that was amazing. Or ones think, go, that was stir crazy. What are you talking about? and anime has a lot of that, unfortunately, as well. So Sandy, you going walks? Are you not going to, get accidents?
I keep trying to heal this rib, but then the weather was so nice today that I had taken my kid back to college and decided to take a little walk through Philadelphia, and it was gorgeous. And thank you, Nerd Takes, and so many other people for hopping in on the chat. But none of my mods, including Nerd Takes, caught the troll in my chat who made me say something stupid. You know, I'm always careful not to repeat something.
I had jumped back into Akira, so I didn't even catch it.
Do I need to go and rewatch something?
But no one even said anything after I said it, so I don't think anyone caught it. It was a good sneak. But some guy
have you clipped it out? Have you clipped it out, or people want
to? Somebody who I didn't know, who looked friendly, said when we were talking about the Philadelphia Art Museum, he said, "Oh, I just came from an exhibition there. It's really fantastic." And I said something like, "Oh, that's great." And we were talking about the Rocky statue, and Ben and I were talking, and the guy chimed back in, and he said, "Yes, it's the Gabe, Gabe, Horn, Horne exhibit."
Oh.
And I said, "Oh, I'll have to check out the Gabe Horn exhibit." And of course, I said it. I try to articulate, so I said Gabe Horn, and then as soon as I said it, I was like, I know exactly what I did. I know exactly what I did. I didn't let on. But yeah, hey, it's bound to happen. But yeah, really great day today. I don't think I'll go out tomorrow. I really have to let this rib heal. It is excruciating to sleep at night, and I'm really busy at work. So this week might be I'm teaching a class next week too. So this week might be a little slow. But I just want to thank everyone for jumping into my channel. I intended to stream on my other channel today because I had a whole script of specific archival resources in Philadelphia. And last night when I went to schedule the stream, it said, "As this is your first stream on this channel, you must wait 24 hours. So I couldn't do the live stream on my primary sources channel. I did it on the regular. So next time I will do my instructional work, try to keeping my instructional work on that channel and my fun stuff on this channel. But thanks to everyone who supports. Jay, what are you up to?
More of the same. A couple movies in theaters right now that I want to go see. I got to square away some time so I can actually go see it. There's that movie Mickey 17. Another one called Queen of the Ring, which is a wrestling-based movie. And there was a third one, Novocaine. So there's a few out there right now that I actually am interested in that I want to go check out. So hopefully get some chance over the next couple of weeks to see some of those, do some reviews. I think I may do a Spider-Man stream shortly after this. I haven't decided yet, but I think I may do one of those tonight too. So yeah, more of the same, always just keep an eye out for nerd takes.
Nice Daredevil video, by the way.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's off to a solid start. Not too bad. We'll see. Still, I think
I need more episodes to go. I need to watch.
I know. I'm telling you, it's the second you watch the first one, you'll be hooked. My wife's playing catch up right now. She just finished season 2. I've been watching along with her, but she actually watched the season 2 finale without me. And then she's like, yesterday, she's like, "I know you've already watched the first 2 of the new season, but do you want to watch season 3 now?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll still watch season 3 with you. I won't leave you hanging on the rewatch." So
I did something silly. I started like old, but started from the start. House. I don't know why I did it.
It's funny you say that.
I watched it and I'm like, no, I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because every so often I'll get a short on my YouTube feed from House, and I'll always think, man, I want to go back and watch this show. I used to watch it a bit while it was on, and I liked it.
Yeah, it's so good.
For me, it's all those British like Murder in a Small Town series. Like if I accidentally stumble on one like Inspector Morse or Endeavor or whatever, and then I have to watch, and there's hundreds of those, and they're all the same. It's Murder in a Teeny Tiny Small Town.
They're all the same, but you just enjoy them.
They're all the same, but they're just the formula work. Like, and all the Miss Marples, all the Agatha Christie's are just so good. So yeah, and I always say, oh, when it's winter, I'll do that. No, I'm out there hiking in the winter, so I'm just waiting for retirement in 12 1/4 years from now. Still counting down the days.
Yeah, but for myself, I'm still on recovery road. I think I'm getting there. Yeah, since Tuesday, it was literally, and I went, oh, that's flu hit really hard. Yeah, completely bed. Girlfriend and son we're getting out of the house, we're going to my parents. like she absconded me and was like, "We're leaving you just there." Yeah, I was bad. I was really, really bad. So hopefully getting back to it. I've got a bit of catching up on my some other work because I've literally done that. But then I'm gonna get back onto it. I need to get back. I need to do some more some jump scares more, but I can't do it when I'm ill. I'm just like, my God,
fair enough.
I'd just be like dying. I'm like, no, I'm gone. I'm dead. Like, I don't care. Just somebody just leave me here and let me rot away. Yeah. So yeah, I just need a bit of a couple more days, I think, just to get it out. It's like that. It's horrid at the moment. Yeah, it's there, but I will be back. But we always have time for film club. That's the most precious thing. Yeah, so it was just, I was just there, just about might have to cancel, but it was a fun one. Yeah, it's yeah, I liked it doing an anime one. So our first one, yeah, we could add Tarzan, but it was Akira.
One day we'll get
one
some
day,
Phil Collins fantastic soundtrack.
We've still got 250 to go if we don't keep adding. But yeah, everybody, hope you've had a great time going back to the 80s for a bit of Japanese classic anime. And then until next time, you got probably 2 points of homework. Watch this thing and watch the, what's it called, Sandy? Read the book
called The Big Con.
The Big Con. So yeah, until we come next time, that's your homework, and we'll see you in the next stream. Bye for now.